Chapter 23. Naruto found himself multitasking today. Jacket and shirt off as he performed handstand push-ups, he read from an Uzumaki scroll that would hopefully help him with the curse seal. Today found them somewhere in the land of stone while they searched for Orochimaru's northern base. It had been a month since they had been in Rice, this search taking them much longer because it had been a long time since their girls had been here and they were trying to keep a low profile through this specific country. Anyone with blonde hair here was likely to attract the wrong attention. Focusing a bit, Naruto sees that the scrolls keep relating back to natural chakra and the energy of all living things. Well, it wasn't like he could talk to animals. Wait, yes he could. Hinata, Karen, and Tayuya looked up from where Naruto hooped and jumped to his feet. They were high up on a mountainside and away from prying eyes in a cave, still however forced to eat a meal of dried ration bars and water. Couldn't risk the fire after all. Watching Naruto well up chakra and perform several seals, he summoned a toad not much higher than his knee. Hey Appa. Naruto my boy. It's been so long. Glad to see you're doing okay. Jiraiya boy has had us worried about you. I'm sure he'd love to know you're okay. Pa didn't know what had happened between Naruto and the leaf and Naruto would have to explain that soon. For now you can tell him I'm fine and just doing my best out here. But please don't tell him where I am. There's a lot going on right now. Naruto explains most of the drama surrounding their departure from the Leaf Village. Pa however weighs it all away. You're our summoner boy, not the village itself. You ask us to keep you secret and safe, we'll keep you secret and safe. Now, why did you summon me today? I'm sure it wasn't just to catch up or introduce me to the lovely girls behind ya. Wiggling his bushy eyebrows, he got a blush out of the boy at least. No. I'm actually here because I'm trying to figure out this seal. It has to deal with nature chakra and I can't understand it. Looking the seal over, Pa nods slowly. Nature chakra is the chakra of the world around us. There is energy everywhere Naruto my boy. Even here in this stone there is life. And if you steady yourself, still your mind enough, you can listen to its flow. You can ask of it and receive a bit of its might in return. Nature training is a difficult life goal. Jiraiya himself is only partially there himself. We had a hunch you one day might be interested in training as a sage as well, but that might still be a few years yet away. Naruto thought about that one. What benefit do you get from using nature chakra? All sorts of things, increased speed and durability. Reflexes and mental processing in general. Everything about you improves dramatically. Never mind your ability to attune yourself with nature itself. So that's what the curse seal does. It's forcefully pulling chakra from nature and converting it for use by the person it's been applied to. Pa's eyes went wide. This has been applied onto someone? Did you do this? He almost sounded offended. He might be, Naruto figured. Not me. Orochimaru's work. Naruto however points to another section, the part that actively tired to fight him. This however I really can't figure out. It's storing something, but I don't know what. Pa looked over the seal, age and wisdom puzzling out the language of it before turning and spitting on the ground. That fool Orochimaru, just how far was he willing to go? That's some nasty work there boyo. Figure it out? Yes. Dark work that. It houses a portion of Orochimaru's soul. If he were to die within range of this, he could resurrect himself and cheat death through this seal. Pa pointed a webbed hand towards another section of the seal. Here there's a chakra node, you'll have to remove it first, and then you can remove his soul from the seal. The rest of the seal should remain intact. Naruto nodded, working out just what he needed to do from there. Thanks Pa. I appreciate it. No thanks needed Naruto. Helping you rid the world of any darkness is thanks enough. Though we might need to summon Ma soon, she'd like to see you as well. Getting a smile and nod from the boy, the elder toad returned home. Hinata finally walked over, watching quietly as Naruto began working on the next counter seal and explaining his work as he went. She was still working on catching up with sealing techniques herself, but she was able to follow along mostly. Naruto addressed Tayuya without looking up. Looks like we'll be able to remove the last negative piece of the seal soon. But most likely it'll be pretty painful. I don't know how Orochimaru figured out how to split his soul, but I'm sure it'll try to fight this. I don't care, I don't want any part of that bastard near me if I can help it. It needs to go. Tayuya rubbed her arms furiously. If she didn't know she'd be getting it removed, she'd be better off never knowing a piece of the bastard was inside of her. Just gross. Naruto worked silently, missing as the sun began to set and reduce their daylight. He didn't have much time for today, but he figured he had enough left for the attempt. Karen, can you roll out a mat, and Tayuya, same as before, I need access to the seal. Both girls moved to obey, while Naruto finished up his practice work on the scroll and activated it. There was a bright green flash of light before the seal began to dissolve and change. The fake section holding Orochi's soul wilted before disappearing, and the entire seal shrunk down until there was an Uzumaki swirl in the middle of the paper. Satisfied, he turned to see Tayuya laying down and waiting, shirt and sports bra again off to the side and folded neatly. Again, this is going to hurt. Tayuya shook her head, don't care, needs to happen like yesterday. Hinata unsealed several lanterns and began to light them, while Karen stood and went to the cave entrance. Placing her hands on the ground, she willed a wall of rock to form up and cover the entrance completely. Satisfied, she turned back to the others who had odd shadows cast on them from the lanterns Hinata was placing around their camp. Naruto was smiling at her, for the sound. She felt the need to say it out loud. Thanks, Karen. Turning back and again taking a seat on her legs in case he had to hold her down, Naruto began drawing the necessary seals. He took much longer this time to prepare them, wanting to make sure that he didn't mess this up. This was Tayuya after all, not just some paper. God, that tickles. Tayuya joked with him while she nearly vibrated with anticipation. This was it, the last link between her and Orochimaru. She'd be free, really and truly free. Naruto grinned as he continued to work. Yeah, well, try not to squirm, you don't want to know just what the wrong line could do to ya. Finishing up, he turned to Hinata and Karen. Don't intervene. If you touch either of us, it could get messy. Hinata had learned enough to know not to interfere. Karen as well, just nodded and trusted him that he knew what he was doing. Both girls took a seat on the opposite side of their unsealed supplies and waited. Naruto, however, mentally knocked to awaken Kurama. I need to make sure you don't inject any chakra towards me for the next few minutes. Huh, sealing arts, how dreadful. Yeah, could understand why you hate M, but I'm trying to help my clan here. Understood, no chakra. Feeling the ancient being slip away, Naruto nodded and finished up. Coating his hands in chakra, he looked over to Tayuya, ready? Let's do it. Gritting her teeth, she tried to brace herself. The fact that he felt the need to remind her several times that this was going to hurt had her believing this was going to be far worse than last time. Feeling his hands come into contact with her skin, there was a moment of warmth she associated with him before it felt like literal fire was poured on her back and neck. Trembling and holding back a scream, she could feel something shift inside of her. Naruto, however, was having to pump a massive amount of chakra into his seals in order to counteract Orochimaru. Even just a portion of him was fighting back terribly. Naruto had learned over the last few months himself, and adjusting the seal with just his chakra, he watched the portion that was Orochimaru sizzle and burn away in green fire. Watching the rest of the seal twist and form into the Uzumaki spiral that was now just over one of her chakra gates, Naruto was satisfied. It was the gate of life, if Naruto remembered correctly. Pulling his hands away as the girl under him trembled and shook, he again went about with aftercare, unsealing and applying the healing cream into her back. Well, congratulations Tayuya, you're curse seal free. You'll have to learn to use the new seal properly, but no chance of Orochimaru taking control of you now. Taking great care to work softly, Naruto himself had to take a deep breath to steady himself. That was a lot of chakra he just burned through after all. Karen was smiling with just a hint of tears in her eyes. To think that they would finally come to a point that Tayuya would be free of Orochimaru for good. She never said it, but she knew the older girl most of all wanted her freedom from that stain on her heart. Only thing better than this would be if they could kill Orochimaru himself. Hinata breathed a sigh of relief, happy that they were able to help Tayuya finally. Now if they could just find this northern base, they could relax properly for a little while. Hopefully. Naruto was a workaholic. Finishing up and sealing his materials away, the shirtless boy shuffled off to the side with a groan. That was a workout. But we learned something new today, so there's that bonus. In front of him Tayuya sat up slowly, facing away from him. Everything feel alright Tayuya? She seemed to be moving stiffly. Tayuya however, turned and pounced on him, arms wide. Crashing into him and sending them both to the floor, she locked him in with a deep kiss that sent his mind far away. She, however, couldn't think of anything else other than the fact that she was free. No more specter of Orochimaru at her neck. No more thoughts of him just beyond the next bend or waiting for her at the next base to capture her. She was free to be herself, do what she wanted, whenever she wanted. And it was all thanks to Naruto. Feeling tongue twist with his own, Naruto had the presence of mind to keep his hands far away from the softness that was against his chest. Well, all softness except for 2 hard points that he instantly tried not to focus on. This wouldn't end well. Tayuya pulled away and gasping for air, she was all smiles, thank you. Of course Tayuya. I'd do it all again. Secretly, he knew if that his reward was an armful of half-naked kunoichi, he'd do it all again in a heartbeat. No, he wasn't a pervert, no, he wouldn't answer why not. Tayuya, however, finally remembered that she was in fact still half-naked. She, however, didn't care. She'd let him take her right there if he wanted, Karen and Hinata there or not. He gave her freedom. Hearing the others giggle at her though, she turned and shuffled for her clothes. Was happy. Karen smirked, we could tell. Hinata was hiding a giggle behind a hand, I think you broke Naruto. He's not moving. Naruto himself figured that he was not moving because his body was vibrating. Or at least it felt like it was. Pretty girls tackling you and kissing you was a new thing. So much pink. I'm happy that you're happy, Tayuya. Dressing and fighting down a blush, she turned away, well, thanks to you, I'm going to be happy for a long time. Now all that's left is to put some real hurt on the snake dirtbag. Everyone could agree with that. Though she did have to put up with Hinata and Karen teasing her for the rest of the night. Oh well. She'd start gloating that she not only got a kiss out of the boy first, but felt a not-so-little something that at least showed he paid attention to them. She'd have to have a chat with all the girls later for sure. Scene change, Koyuki was tired but still focused. The day was coming to a close, sun beginning to set, and that meant her day was almost over. In her hand, she had a letter from the Rice daimyo, a new one apparently. They detailed that while they would consider an economic and possible military alliance, Spring would need a good show of faith first. Rice had a bandit and gang problem that needed rooting out. If Spring could help, that would go a lot way towards opening talks. Penning a letter that expressed that Spring would be sending someone soon to do just that, she paused as Ino walked through her door. Dressed more in Naruto's colors now, a black and orange skirt and black tank top, the blonde had a frown as another black-haired girl dressed in a somewhat worn dark kimono followed behind her. Ino, to what do I owe the pleasure? Got a refugee, but she's got a letter for the Uzumaki specifically apparently, thinks they're here. Thought you'd want to talk to her. Ino didn't know this girl, but everything about her was off. Too stiff, even for a refugee she barely talked. Tone was so monotone. She was like a robot. The girl comes before the desk and bows deeply as Ino takes up a position behind and to Koyuki's left. Straightening she introduces herself, my name is Kyohime Bohatiai. My clan was once retainers of the Uzumaki clan. We were wiped out during a border skirmish, but my father and mother always spoke on how much we wished we could have returned to the service of the Uzumaki clan. After hearing rumors about the Uzumaki possibly settling here in the north, I just had to come and try to see for myself. Taking out and producing a small scroll with an Uzumaki seal, she attempts to present it to Koyuki, who declines. Koyuki's own personal bullshit radar was going crazy as well. Something was off with the dead stare girl. While you were correct that the Uzumaki were here, they are not now. I may be able to direct you in another direction. Is there a chance they may return? Life makes all things possible. Then I wish to stay. It has been a life's mission of my clan to find the Uzumaki again since the purge. I have hope we may meet if I stay somewhere familiar. Again, tone barely changing, something was putting off Koyuki and Ino something fierce. However, if this girl was after the Uzumakis for something ill, it was better to keep an eye on her. Somewhere they could control. This could be a good test. Turning slightly, Koyuki addresses Ino, why don't we set Miss Bohatiai up with the aid station? If the Uzumaki do return, we'll be able to find her easier from there. Ino nods and motions for the girl to follow her, and she does so, putting the scroll away in a fold of her kimono. Turning back to her work and finishing up her letter to the Rice daimyo, it was maybe another 20 minutes before Ino returned to the office, closing the door behind her so they could talk. You feel it? Koyuki leaned back in her chair. Oh yeah. Something is way off with that girl. She never actually looked at either of us. Always at the wall or just past our head. Ino could pick up on a lot of subtle cues, life working with psychology paying off. Koyuki nodded. We'll need Naruto to confirm if the scroll she brought with her was the real thing or not. But we'll make sure to let him know our thoughts about her. Turning to look out her window, lights coming on as night descended on spring. In the distance, the sleepy town was slowly becoming much larger. Their flow of refugees and immigrants had increased. She could only imagine what Tazuna was dealing with. How goes construction? Ino was curious about it, not having the time recently to check on much more than the aid station. Sitting on the edge of the desk, she pulled a nail file from somewhere and set about perfecting her look. Koyuki shrugged. The tunnel has made significant progress. My engineers tell me we should make landfall in Yuzu within a year's time. That will start our true partnership in full, when we can send supplies and people back and forth. Koyuki was looking forward to it. More so to a day when they didn't have to hide something like this. When the ninja way wasn't so destructive. Ino was having similar thoughts, to think we've already come so far. If only the rest of the nations could see this. People from all walks of life were getting along here. It wasn't perfect, sure, but people were learning. Understanding each other. Their shared hardships and pain uniting them. Now if they could just get past needing that shared pain in order to talk to one another. Hearing another knock at the door, Ino took her position at Koyuki's flank again. Still time to work, it seemed. Scene change in Konoha at a certain training ground. What was left of Team 7 was meeting for a not-so-fun occasion. Kakashi was standing before a visibly irate Sakura and a bored-looking Sasuke, while next to him was a oddly smiling pale boy. Sighing, the sensei knew this wasn't going to be received well. As you know, due to Naruto's leave, we're short a member. Sai has been added to the Team 7 roster in the meantime. A full team is important and will allow us to take full missions again. That also includes missions outside of the village. Hopefully they got the message there. Sasuke sighed but nodded, a little weird looking, but I get it. We aren't Chunin yet, so we can't run missions with just us. He, however, would be working to ditch this guy as soon as possible. Sakura shrugged with her hands on her hips, medical pouch bouncing with her movements. Yeah, you need some sun, but we'll get you up to speed soon enough. Great, they'd have to do team building exercises again. She shuddered at the memories. Sai looked between Sakura and Sasuke before turning to Kakashi and pointing at the pink and red-themed girl. I thought you said you had a girl member of the team? Instantly hating the boy, Sakura took an ominous step forward. What was that? Sai, oblivious to the danger he was in, continued to point at her. You're so flat, I just assumed you were a boy. Maybe I'll call you Washboard from now on. Oh dear. Did this pale-skinned loser just say she was flat? He was insulting her after knowing her for less than a minute. Did he have a death wish? Flat was just fine. Sasuke loved her mini tots. Losing it, she went straight to trying to pound the boy's face in. Hoping away with a bewildered look on his face, Kakashi and Sasuke sighed. Should we save him? Sasuke watched his girlfriend try to pound the boy, craters being left in her wake. I think this'll be a good team bonding exercise. Why don't you go help her? Smiling, the older ninja waited for the boy to move. I don't have a choice, do I? Twin kunai appeared in Kakashi's hands. I'm going. Kakashi called out at the trio, this will be good team bonding. Try not to kill each other. I hate paperwork. Pulling out his book, he thought over about this appointment. Tsunade sure didn't look happy about it. Maybe he was a Danzo plant. Kami knew that Old Hawk had the resources. But why their team? Unless he too thought that they knew where Naruto was. Remembering Naruto's warning, Kakashi vowed to keep an eye on Sai for the time being. Watching the fight, Sai rolls over a charge from Sakura only to be forced into blocking a kick from Sasuke that launched him away and into a roll. Smiling, the boy stands. You have some skill, maybe I won't name you dickless like I first wanted to. You seemed so passive before. He missed Sasuke's face fault. Sakura, however, is blushing as she continues to try to pound the tactless boy. Sasuke's dick is none of your business. It's good-sized, thank you very much. Missing the boy and creating another crater, she pauses as she realizes just what she said aloud. Oh boy. Damn it, hold still so I can hit you. Launching forward again with a frantic shunshin, the fight was on again. Kakashi had them practicing for hours, both against each other and against him. Eventually, as the noon sun begins to fall and fade, he calls it quits, happy that Sasuke and Sakura are able to put their mistrust aside for now. He could see that they too didn't feel right about this, but that there was nothing they could do about it. Everyone but him groaning on the ground, Kakashi smiled, that's it for today. Great job everyone. Only he could be so peppy after trying to kill children. Sakura, however, just dragged herself to her feet, walking off towards the hospital. Shizune and Tsunade will kill me if I don't get to practice on time. Later, Sasuke. Waving at the boy, she shook herself and jogged away. Hopefully she could shower there. Sasuke has much of the same plan, telling Kakashi that he'll be training some more for a while before heading home. Though he promised not to overdo it. He wasn't Naruto after all. Not like he could spam mountains of clones and not die. Kakashi watched Asai leave on his own without a word. He was sure that there was more there, but he couldn't come out and ask the kid if he worked for Danzo, now, could he? He could keep an eye on him at least and hopefully catch him before he did anything too out of line. The ninja world was full of peril, it seemed. Now, back to his book and to see what happened to those twins. Scene change, back in Earth Country, the next day around noon finds Naruto and a tired group of girls on a ridge overlooking the northern sound base. Happy and marking the location with a Hiraishin tag hidden under an outcrop of rock, Naruto turns to the others. I did promise we would just mark it and leave for a break for now. Are you sure you don't want to trash the place? Naruto himself was tired and ready for a break. Even Kurama was grumbling. Warm baths are nice. No arguments there. Hinata is the one to come forward, placing hands on both of his shoulders and drawing him close. Naruto, please. We need rest, you need rest, we all need a bath. We will come back and ransack this base no sooner than a week. Drawing even closer somehow, shadows covering her face, Naruto began to sweat. I have not had a warm bath in what feels like a month. I need this. Naruto nodded quickly, got it. Break sounds good. Taking a break is perfect. All three girls holding him, they flashed away without alerting the sound. Back in spring, the group relaxes as they see the comforting walls of the spring daimyo mansion. Already within their usual sitting room where the Hiraishin tag was placed, the only other occupant to the room is Ino, who looks up with surprise. Welcome back everyone. She was all smiles as she motions to the large spread of food on the table. Hope you're hungry. Karen, however, wanted nothing more than to see a soft bed. Bead. She'd eat later. For sure. Later. After sleeping for like 12 hours. Tayuya isn't having it, pushing the girl herself out the door and towards the baths. You need a bath first, then food, then bed. But bed? Nope, you don't want to sleep dirty. Come on, we'll go together and I'll wash your back. Ugh. They were soon gone and around a corner. Hinata made to follow them. She smelled badly and wanted a bath herself. She was stopped, however, by Naruto grabbing her hand. Blushing and caught off guard, she turned back to him. What's up, Naruto? Naruto was turning to Ino as well. Can I talk to both of you actually? After all this time, he couldn't believe that this had taken him so long to get around to. But this was a minor step he should have gotten to. Ino bounced up and walked to join them, her and Hinata side by side. Sure thing, Naruto. What's up? She didn't comment on him holding Hinata's hand just yet. Naruto took a real deep breath for this one. These girls had left the village with him when they didn't have to. They could have stayed, lived their lives out. But they didn't, choosing to come with him. He could trust them with his life, he knew that without a doubt. He knew the feelings he had grown for them weren't going away as well. Stepping back so he could focus on both of them, he took that step. You both. You've supported me for so long now. Show me what it means to actually be cared for and to care for someone else. I wanted to come out and say that. Well. Ino's eyes were shining while Hinata was beginning to blush. What the hell gave them the right to be so damned pretty? I've had feelings for you both for so long. I love you. I know that. You know, I'm supposed to choose one and it's hard. You're both so important to me, and you each have your own charms and importance that's unique and a dainty well-manicured finger was holding his lips closed. Ino was smirking, "'Bout time you confessed, Whiskers. We've been waiting for what feels like forever." Hinata is still a blushing mess, but nods all the same. We both liked you for a long time. It grew to love long ago. We've also talked about your and our situation. It was something actually I meant to bring up that seems like a moot point now. Seeing both of their friends' questioning looks, she shrugged. In the village, I had been researching the Clan Restoration Act. I assumed that Naruto would be eligible and that we would be able to share. Ino herself began to chuckle. Oh, if your team could see their cute and sweet little Hinata. You were already planning on sharing that far back? I knew it was a possibility, that's all. I love Naruto. If that meant sharing a piece of him, I would be okay with that. Ino shrugged, turning to the silent and shocked other blonde. Well, I think you are a loyal, ambitious, living breathing force of nature. And I want to be at your side through it all. Grinning, she pointed dramatically at the boy. So you're just going to have to accept us one day as your head wives. Any other floozies you try to pick up, go through us first. Hinata nodded. Whether it's just us or if you decide to build a true harem to rebuild your clan, you must be considerate of us first and foremost. Naruto could not believe what was happening. He hadn't even considered anyone else truly. His heart was set on the two girls in front of him. Yes, he knew Tayuya had some type of feelings for him, and he couldn't really tell if Karen liked him as a sibling or what. He would protect this happiness he had found, right here in this room more than anything. You got it. I'll protect you both with everything I am for the rest of our lives, that's a promise. Ino leaned forward, now a blush forming on her face. Be careful, Whiskers. Placing a soft kiss on his lips, she enjoyed his warmth and softness before pulling away. Making a promise like that is important. Hinata stepped forward next, she too leaning up and kissing the boy. Hands bunching into his shirt, she was smiling as she eventually pulled away. We'll be here as long as you are, Naruto. She would fight just as hard as he would. She would protect this happiness she had found. Giggling, Ino turned the conversation from relationships for now, something important having come up after all. As much fun as I want to have, however, we had a visitor looking for you. Seeing them both look at her, Ino continued, some girl named Kyohime Bohadii. Name ring a bell to anyone? Seeing both of them shake their heads, Ino sighed. She's in the aid station waiting. But something about her seems off. More than just the fact that she has at least Chunin level chakra levels. The chakra detection seals you placed around the manor, working like a charm by the way. Naruto nodded. Well, that's a relief. We're going to have to figure out who she is. Looking around the room, he eyes the table in front of one of the couches. I think I can set something up for an interview. Maybe tomorrow morning? Ino nods. Sure thing. I'll bring her in the morning. Hinata finally grabs both of them and begins to walk towards the hall. She was filthy and someone would be scrubbing her back. That's it, it's time to go. I'm dirty, Naruto is dirty, it's time for a bath. All of us? Want to fight me on that? Deadly glare was turned up full force. Naruto and Ino shook their heads. No ma'am. Neither would admit to the shorter Hyuga scaring them. Nope, not a bit. They just enjoyed the warmth of having finally figured out. More could and would come later. For now, they could share a bath and relax after a mission well done. Soon sleep, all in their separate rooms, would be exactly what they all needed to finish out a full day. The next morning, the group is getting ready to meet up with the mystery girl who had been looking for the Uzumaki. Hinata, Karen, and Tayuya watched while Naruto inscribed several seal tags underneath the wooden low table between two of the couches facing each other. 5 tags written and placed quickly, Naruto applied some chakra and the array began to glow a light green color. Nodding, Naruto flipped the table over and placed it down before sitting on a couch with Hinata on one side of him while behind them stood Karen and Tayuya, who had been watching with interested looks on their faces. What was that seal for? Karen recognized some of the work, but not all of it. Looked like something for an area genjutsu. It's to help with our interrogation. Naruto answered quickly while he heard footsteps coming their way. Tayuya nodded. Should probably let you handle it then, we'll be back up just in case. Naruto grinned. Sure thing. From the doorway Ino walked in followed by the black-haired and regal-looking Kyohime. Naruto noted that she was in fact fairly pale, but her build definitely jumped out to him as ninja. He could see why the others flagged her as suspicious. Watching Ino motion for her to sit across from them before she herself sat on Naruto's other side, they got this underway. So Kyohime, I was told you'd been looking for us, that right? Kyohime nodded. The Bohadii clan had served the Uzumaki clan as retainers for years, but we were left on our own after the purge to drift the nations. It had always been a goal of ours to gather as many of the Uzumaki as we could find and continue our work serving them. The Uzumaki clan are powerful, deserving of the right to lead others. I wish to see your clan return to its glory. Reaching into her robes, she removed and holds out the Uzumaki scroll given to her. Naruto takes it with a nod, looking it over and confirmed it was in fact a real Uzumaki scroll. Opening it and taking a peek inside, he confirmed that it was more notes, something about chakra chains. Stowing any ideas for later, he rolled the scroll back up and handed it back to Karen. Said girl sealed it away in a pouch at the small of her back. Naruto, however, focused on the girl in front of him. Leaning forward and quietly making a seal unnoticed at his side, he fully activated the seal on the table. So tell me, who sent you to find us? Opening her mouth to deny anyone sent her, Kyoheim suddenly found she couldn't answer. In fact, she did want to answer, but the seal applied to her tongue would not allow her. Looking up to Naruto in a panic, she watched as he sighed. Do you really want to be an Uzumaki retainer? Again she seems to struggle to answer, before her mouth finally opens, no. I was only ordered to. Now they were making progress. They couldn't learn who sent her, but at least we confirm she was ordered by someone. Were you ordered to kill us? No. Only to seduce and bend you to my will. Or bear your children and return them to Dash again. Her voice suddenly cut off, her body giving a full shudder. Naruto sighs, go figure someone wanted to try and trick him. Again. You're within range of a seal that forces anyone within its range to tell the truth. There is also a minor chakra restriction ability, so you'll have a hard time moving as well. However, something seems to be interfering with your ability to answer me on some things. Do you have seals placed on you? The girl nods. Do they protect the person you serve? Another nod. Will they kill you if you happen to force yourself to talk anyway? One last nod, which caused the girls behind him to flinch. Pulling out a suppression seal, Naruto looked her in the eye. I'm going to have to knock you out, I won't kill you. I will ask, did you want any of this to happen to you? She quickly shook her head, tears leaking from emotionless eyes. Tayuya is gripping the couch, it's a lot like an enslavement seal. But it doesn't seem like Orochimaru at least. Naruto reaches forward to put the seal on her forehead while maintaining eye contact. If you want freedom from this, your own life back, I can help. But you have to want it. Waiting for something, anything, he wasn't disappointed. Kyoheim nods very slowly with trembling lips, the only emotion to cross her face this entire time. Then I'll help you. Placing the seal on her forehead, the girl was unconscious and laid out on the couch. Okay. You can come get her. Everyone watched as 3 Snow Nin hustled inside to grab the girl and pick her up. Be gentle with her, okay? She'll be asleep as long as that tag is on. One Nin had her by the legs, while the other had her by her shoulders. The last paid direct attention to Naruto. Yes sir. The unburdened Nin saluting him, the 3 ninja hustled back out into the hall and towards the basement. Tayuya leans forward now, while everyone else seems to release the breath they were holding. So, was that bit about the truth seal a real thing? Naruto nods, yeah, takes a minute to start up and take down, but it's effective. Works on everyone within a certain range. Tayuya tilts her head this way and that while thinking, huh. So then. She leans forward towards him just a tad, whose tits are bigger? Ino's, Hinata's, or mine? The grin on her face stretched from ear to ear. Blushing up a storm, he's unable to stop himself, Hinata's for sure. You and Ino are close, but I haven't seen Ino's like yours. Panicking and lunging for the table, he's blindsided by Ino tackling him to the ground while laughing. Behind them, Tayuya is cackling while Hinata is blushing. Karen is holding a finger to her temple while shaking her head. Ino, however, is going to get every second that she can out of this. So what do you like about my body, huh, Naruto? You have great legs or your eyes are super pretty. The extra food and real workouts have done wonders for your figure. Especially your butt. Doing his best to struggle free, God, this girl had gotten strong. Wide dash a hand covered his mouth to prevent him from asking a question. Ho ho. Do you have naughty thoughts about us? Hand removed. Kami, yes. Now dash hand back. He'd get her back for this. One way or another. They were all traitors. Have you ever peeped on us? This was fun. Hand removed again, and oh. Hand was back. Thrashing was doing him no good. Eventually Ino had him on his back and was straddling his hips. One hand holding his wrists together while the other was over his mouth. Damn, Earth Chakra must be how she was making herself stronger. Did you wanna? Damn it, yes. Ino hand back in place, the boy was blushing up a storm. Kill him now. Karen started to walk forward. I think that's enough for now. Tayuya, however, was doing her best to catch her breath through her laughing. Wait, one more. Hinata, however, beat her to it with a small grin in place on her face. Ino, how's Naruto's crotch feel? Ino's eyes went wide, but she shouldn't force herself to stop. Heavenly. Wait, about how big do you think it is? Maybe little more than 20 centimeters. Hold on. Control out of her hands, she turned back to Hinata, who was smile, while Tayuya was beginning to wheeze. Karen, however, blushing and giggling, finally took pity and kicked the table over and removed one of the tags. Array broken, the seal was deactivated. That's enough fun for one day. She'd be keeping that seal set up in her brain, however. Might prove useful one day. Ino looked down to Naruto while chuckling, realizing that she would have to get off of him now. Truce? She removed his hand. I'm so getting you back for this. Remember who the prank king is. He was already forming plans. Ino was quick to jump off of him and make it behind the couch in order to put Karen between her and Naruto. You wouldn't hurt me. You love me. Never said I wouldn't prank you. Well, I have a Karen shield, you love her too, and wouldn't hurt either of us. Yeah, I do, but I can wait. I have plenty of time. Karen, however, was blushing at the casual mention of the boy's feelings. Before anyone could say anything else, or in Tayuya's case catch her breath, Koyuki walks in through the door. Oh, hello everyone. From the floor, Naruto rolls to his feet and nods. Hey Koyuki, what's up? Koyuki holds up a letter. We have an official request from the Rice Daimyo. In order to facilitate a potential alliance, we're being asked to help clean up their nation of bandits and rouge gangs. The Fuma clan has been omitted from the removal list. Looking over at the blushing and in Tayuya's and Hinata's cases, giggling group, she raised an eyebrow. I missed something. Only learning some truths about Naruto some of us were curious about. Ino was still hunched behind the shorter Uzumaki girl. Naruto, however, is thinking it over. The girls wanted and deserved a break, but he also wanted time to start working on something. He could make up the difference though. I'd say give me a week and I'll take on Rice. I have some training I want everyone to go through. Koyuki is curious about this. What's this training? Naruto reached into his jacket into one of his inner seals and unsealed one of the Uzumaki masks, a red and blue kimono mask to be specific, and holding it up for everyone to see. Karen and myself haven't given ourselves enough time to go through all of the Uzumaki scrolls and books, but I finally let my clones run through them all repeatedly. I was able to pick up what each mask is for, and I want everyone to become attuned to one of them that's closest to their style. Karen pouted, you got ahead of me, no fair. Naruto tossed the kimono mask to her, forcing her to catch it. I built something of a library in my room, start going through it daily while I'm gone. That mask can create golem and give them life. I'm sure it can remove it as well, which should allow you to practice to your heart's content. Hinata raised a hand. How many different masks are there, Naruto? Literally hundreds, but I was able to snag a few more with my clone's help. There are some that are like mass production types that give control of elements. Those are depicted as various Oni masks, colored for the element they control. Then I have a few sets of 3 Hanya masks that give specific abilities. Then there are a few specific masks, which give unique control. Like that Kamenu, a white Onaman, an Okame, and last, the Shinigami mask. He didn't unseal any of those masks, but he shrugged. I've got them in my room, so join me there after this, and I'll sit everyone down and work you through them. Karen sighed as she looked down at the bestial mask in her hand. I'm guessing these are strictly emergency use masks? Something like that. I want this to be strictly between us. Not even a hint to anyone outside of this room for now. Everyone turned to Koyuki, who wiggled a finger in her ear. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Something about Naruto being hung like a horse? That got everyone back to groaning or giggling, depending on who it was. Naruto, however, shook his head. So once I get everyone up to speed on the masks and they start training, I can take on the Rice mission after a quick detour through the next sound base. Does that sound okay? That's agreeable. I'll send a reply. You said 1 week, right? The young man nodded. Okay, I'll send a reply for 1 week. Nodding and turning away to go back to her duties, Koyuki turned to Naruto, "Make sure to stop by my office sometime later, okay?" Sure thing." Watching the woman leave, he turned back to the others. "Guess this'll be the first time I split up from you, like ever, since we've come here." Tayuya nodded as she relaxed into the couch. "This'll give us normal people a chance to relax while training and catching up with you. You stamina freak." Hinata nodded as well. "Training would be good, I've been having some ideas myself I'd wanted to try out." Karen said nothing, fascinated by the mask in her hand still. Ino however looked over Karen's shoulder. "Any chance you might forgive me by the time you get back?" Naruto grinned. "You'll just have to wait and see Ino. Some time alone in Rice would be good for him probably. He could play the hero, blow up bad guys, and just work through his own personal training for a while." What was the worst that could happen? Chapter 24. A week to relax and train non-stop was something Naruto would always look forward to. Training with the remaining Uzumaki masks, being lazy with the women of his life, and learning everything he could from the Uzumaki scrolls. He could say that after a week, he could probably do a lot of damage all on his own to any nation on the continent if he tried. Which, considering his next 2 missions, he was somewhat going to do just that. Leaving his group in spring with instructions to train and look after Koyuki, a few very hardened clones left just in case, he set off himself first to the northern sound base. He warned Koyuki and Tsunami via clones that refugees would be coming in, but now here he sat, removing the Hiraishin tag from its hiding place and staring out over the base hidden in the rock wall. While not a sensor like Karen, he could tell that there were significant life forces present here, and after beginning his usual method, creating 100 hardened clones at a time and sending them off, he sat and waiting for the results to come in. In his mind, Kurama piped up. "So you're challenging yourself for once? Noble. Something like that. I want to make sure I can actually be just as much of a badass as I think I am. Do not misunderstand, I approve. You are my container, you must continue to be strong." Naruto thought over some of the research he had been doing this week. Finally making sense of not only nature chakra, but yin and yang balance. He had a hunch now why using Kurama's chakra would make him no nuts. "We should look into how to get your other half of chakra from my dad. Do you truly think it will help?" "Well, half of you was ripped away, that can't have been pleasant. You should be allowed to be whole. Balance is important for anything living." Perhaps. You do not worry, I might try to take control?" "Nah. Even if you did, that'd do more to show who you are, not me. It's my choice to trust you, it's your choice to break it. Wisdom from you feels odd. Go back to being an explosion murder boy." That's more like it." Feeling the mental link simmer into the background, Naruto began to feel memories flow into his mind. It seemed Orochi had attempted to fortify this base slightly, but with Naruto, that didn't mean anything. Sound ninja were just barely above fodder for the most part, and the prisoners were being released with no problems. A good portion were Earth Country natives who wished to return home, which Naruto utilized a tag on the main road in order to drop them off with a wave and a smile. Just as many however wished to side with him, floating between Spring and Yuzu. However, a group of clones was lost in spectacular fashion and led to Naruto standing from his seated position and stretching. "Guess it's time to see for myself." Making the ram hand seal and performing a shunshin, he appeared inside the base, walking along through dark halls while he listened in on shouting and his own clones' conversations with prisoners. His memories told of an orange-haired teen with the abilities to shift his body how he liked. Normally, this might not be a problem, but his clones were being cautious. Ordered to offer leave to anyone not of the sound, this guy apparently wasn't sound but wasn't willing to talk unless it was the original. Naruto could put up with that. Kotoheim had needed almost the same treatment. Coming upon a cell with its wall missing and rubble everywhere, Naruto was faced with said large orange-haired teen sitting on the ground with a large prison weight tied to his ankle. Sighing and spreading his hands out, Naruto voiced his opinion. "You know, we really don't have to fight. I'd personally rather not." Yugo had been stuck in this cell for a long time. While initially hoping Orochimaru could help him with this curse, he was only waiting because Kimimaro had promised someone would come to continue where he himself left off. With no one to help hold back his urges like the Bone Clan member Kimimaro, Yugo wouldn't leave this prison under his own power. "I cannot leave without someone being able to put me in check. Believe me, I'd rather not fight at all." "Okay, we're getting somewhere. So let's not fight and talk it out." "No. Just when I thought this would be easy." Wanna explain why at least? My body. Orochimaru was experimenting in the hopes that one day I might be cured. That has failed, now I'm only being used to spread this curse to others, my lower copies. Okay, I'm with you so far. My own curse stays uncured. If you want me to talk with you further, here the teen began to vibrate and growl under his breath, you'll have to subdue me. Now this was something Naruto could understand. Making a brace of clones with instructions, Naruto nodded, okay then, hope you're prepared. Lunging forward with a yell, Yugo was nearly foaming at the mouth as both arms transformed into wide oversized bear-like claws. I hope you're prepared to die, maggot. He ignored the group of clones that rushed forward to tap him on various parts of his body. There was no damage, therefore no threat. At least, until he was smashed into the floor with what felt like the weight of the entire mountain resting on him. Ugh. Groaning, his transformation shifted to something with a lot more muscle mass. There was, however, still no movement from him, and the crater he was in only grew slightly. Naruto, however, walked forward calmly with his eyes shining in the dark space. Yeah, you aren't going anywhere. Which gives us plenty of time to talk. Struggling and trying to look up at the blonde, Yugo would not cower easily. This will not hold me. Naruto shrugged and took a squat within striking range of Yugo. Okay. Prove it. Naruto sat there and stared Yugo in the eyes. You are fighting gravity. I put seals on you that I regularly use to train my body. The more you fight, the stronger they get. Watching Yugo fight to move with something akin to clinical detachment, Naruto nodded. Wanna talk yet? Never. Yugo, however, was finding that it was beginning to get harder to breathe, and altering his forms was not helping. Trying to push up only wasted energy. Naruto shook his head. Look, I'm not going to waste time. I'm trying to save people. Build a new home for my clan and for the downtrodden people who continue to get stuck in these senseless wars. But I don't need you. I was mainly curious that you might be another long-lost Uzumaki, but I doubt that at this point. Making a hand sign and increasing the weight on his opponent, Naruto began to glare. Don't test my patience anymore. What's your deal, or I'll blow you to pieces with the rest of this shitty place. The added weight finally seemed to knock Yugo out of his rage. The young man suddenly knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that this blonde before him would absolutely kill him and leave without a worry about him in the future. He was that far below him. It was exactly what he needed, someone who could control his urges. Form reverting back to normal and somehow the weight pressing down on him decreasing, Yugo explained. My clan had the ability to pull in nature chakra that we could use in battle. This, however, meant during period where we did not battle regularly, we would be hit occasionally with a rage we could not control. The trait was strongest in me. They call me Yugo of the Scales. Most of the time I'm very peaceful, but without warning I can be hit with an uncontrollable rage. Naruto hummed and thought about that. Sound familiar, Hakurama? Little monkey is probably being hit with negative emotions from natural sources, and doesn't even realize it. Which means we might be able to design a filter for it. Why? Just blow him up and be done with it. Yeah, well, he seems to want to be peaceful. This anger thing is outside of his control. I can help. Well said, let me know if you need my chakra or assistance. Fading away mentally and allowing Naruto to focus completely again, the boy began unsealing sealing ink and a brush. So here's the deal, I'm pretty sure I can help you. After that you can decide what you want to do. Yugo raised his eyebrows as the weight lifting off of his body. Refusing to move, however, he voiced his question, why would you go so far for me? Naruto shrugged, like you admitted to me, you wanted to be peaceful, but I had to subdue you first. I have, now I'm going to help you with your problem. It's not like you want to kill me after all. Ripping the larger teen's shirt off, Naruto began to work a seal on his upper left shoulder. This won't be like Orochimaru's curse seal, will it? Naruto scoffed, hell no. Think of this as more of a filter. It'll let your body continue to bring in nature chakra, but it'll filter out the negative emotions you randomly get. You'll still have all of your original abilities, but now more control. I never thought that would be possible. That's what dealing with Orochimaru will get you. I really need to track that asshole down soon. Of course, that is if you want this. Yugo nodded slowly. If I can have control of my rage, then yes, I will accept this gift. Good enough for me. Working slowly but with focus, Naruto rode all along Yugo's back. The minutes ticked by, mental reports from his clones letting him know after a while that the base was soon completely emptied out. After half an hour he was done and placing a hand over Yugo's back, "Might want to grit your teeth, buddy." "Wah." Yugo didn't get a chance to reply completely, pain arcing up and down his spine for half a minute before subsiding. Taking deep and labored breath, he watched Naruto seal away most of his supplies except for a cream, which the other boy rubbed into his back. "What's this?" "Healing cream, it'll ease the pain." Naruto worked the cream into Yugo's shoulder before sealing it away and standing. "You're all done." Yugo himself gave it a minute, waiting for his body to do its natural thing. He found though that unless he reached for it, the rage he sometimes felt was just not there. This boy, no, leader had done exactly what he had promised. That was more than Orochimaru had ever done. "What did you say your goal was again?" "In simple terms? I'm rebuilding my clan and building a new home for civilians and ninja that are tired of the current ninja system. I want peace, for everyone. Think you'd be interested in that?" Yugo nodded without hesitation. Willing to follow this man who had given him the peace he had craved, absolutely. Naruto grinned and held out a hand, pulling the other boy to his feet. "Good. Now I can take you to either the north, to a sleepy country that's big on advancing civilian technology. Or I can take you south, to an island nation that's rebuilding its home nation. Both are peaceful, but the south will have more work." Yugo shook his head and took a moment to kneel, bowing his head to Naruto. "Rather, I wish to stay by your side as your shield. I will fight for you and aid you in your quest." That wasn't an option. Consider it a request from someone you saved." Naruto thought about that one. He had been surrounded by nothing but women for the last month or so. Having a guy around to make friends with could be good. "You know what, sure. Just realize, I'm going to be fighting and waging all kinds of havoc all over the elemental nations." Yugo stood and nodded. "By your will, it shall be done. Somehow I get the feeling I'm going to regret this. I need a friend, not a blind follower. I will do my best to become your friend. In the end, however, I am your shield, what's to regret?" Naruto sighed as he made a clone and tossed it AV1. "Yup, can already feel the regret seeping in. Come on, let's move it before I blow this place to hell." "How will you manage that?" Naruto grinned widely over his shoulder. "By the greatest technique ever. Explosion-based seals." Dashing away while Yugo followed him, their first order of business was finding Yugo some clothes. Scene change, not even a full day later Naruto joined by Yugo, having flashed and made it to Rice Country, were dashing along the trees. Upon arriving, Naruto had made hundreds of hardened clones to scout and make more clones to scout further if they found hardened hideouts or targets. But his first stop was the Fuma clan. While he hadn't given them a seal, he had left Kotoheim with a clone to mark their location. He could have done without the clone hiding in her cleavage, but the past was the past. Yugo was confused, but followed after Naruto regardless. Dressed in orange and blue, the taller teen had adopted the Uzumaki swirl on the back of his large orange shirt given to him by Naruto. The shorter man seemed to know where he was going at least, so that was a plus. As they continued on, Naruto unsealed one of the Uzumaki masks, the Onaman. Depicting a laughing woman, face pale, he slipped it on and attached it with chakra before the mask took over and sealed itself to him. Yugo however was curious about this. Why would Naruto need a disguise? What use is the mask? Naruto turned to look at Yugo as they hopped between trees. "For now just consider this a tool I can use to determine the truth, that's all." "Yes sir." Yugo made a note that Naruto apparently had many powerful tools at his disposal. Naruto led them through the trees and over several roads until they came upon an open space that may have once been a rice farm long ago. Dropping to the ground to show he wasn't a threat, he was met with several ninja with headbands and heavily armed. Naruto himself held up his hands as a show of peace. "I'm here for Hanzaki. My name is Naruto. Sasami, Kotoheim, or Kajuro will know me." One of the men grumbled but motioned for one of the younger members to head off to the clan home. It took a few minutes for them to return, no one saying anything while they waited, though Yugo did eventually lean forward. "Say the word sir, I can flatten all of them for impeding you." "Yeah, not necessary, but thanks for offering." Naruto sighed, this was not what he was looking for. Thankfully, however, the clan member returns with a smiling Kotoheim in tow. "You've returned, Naruto. I'm so glad to see you." "Oh, who's this?" The mask was new, but she'd recognize that build and frame anywhere. Plus that special shade of blonde hair. Naruto motioned to Yugo, consider him a retainer. Have you been Kotoheim? This was the one his clones kept flirting with, right? He could see why. Damn teenage hormones. Kotoheim, however, smiled brightly and bounced, in several ways, in place. You remembered me. Wonderful. You both will be welcome here. Sasami and Hanzaki are waiting just ahead. Please follow me. Turning and leading the way at a sedate pace, Naruto and Yugo fell in step with her. Turning back to the young men, Kotoheim smiled. What do you think, Lord Naruto? Am I still just as appealing as before, or more so? I promised after all. Kotoheim was dressed in black shorts and a black tube top. An orange vest covered her top while her Heim-cut hair had not changed as it went with her preferred combat style. Naruto coughed into a hand, wishing his clones weren't so on the nose. But after his conversation with the girls, he was willing to be more open with himself at least. You're just as beautiful as before, Kotoheim. Big statement you're making there with my colors. The mask was telling him she was in fact being upfront and honest with him, so that was a plus. Kotoheim nodded with a giggle. I wish to state my claim fast and early. I will be your woman, my lord. Only you have bested me in battle so decisively. Looking him in the eye, she grinned. Little Sasami has her own crush to work through, please be prepared. Naruto mumbled, I'm here to work, not play. The point of this trip was to root out bandits and gangs. Not flirt. Yugo was mumbling as well. Note, Lord Naruto has women he has claimed all over the nations, be wary. That is a good retainer. Kotoheim could appreciate a friend or comrade who knew the pecking order. Naruto sighed, why do I even bother with any of it? Reaching a home with a sign proclaiming Fuma Lane above it. Naruto was met with Sasami and a taller gruff looking back in muted colors and a red cloth bandana. This must be Hanzaki. So you must be Naruto, Sasami, and the others told me much about you. Voice just as gruff as his face suggested, Naruto walked forward to shake his hand. Yugo stayed behind while Kotoheim moved off to the side to watch the proceedings. What brings you to our neck of the woods? Naruto decides getting right to the issue would be best. So I'm here on a mission request from the new Rice Daimyo. Since I'm going to be operating in your neck of the woods, I figured I should let you know what's up. I'm going to be exterminating bandits and gangs with extreme prejudice. I'd suggest pulling back any and all of your ninja for the next few days. Naruto watches the assembled members before him and several trying to watch from windows and the doorways are all muttering with surprised looks. Good. After I'm done, the Spring Daimyo will be contacting the Rice Daimyo for economic trade unions. There will also be some talks with you the Fuma clan for peace as well. I'd like you to be open to them as well as making peace with any ninja clan remaining in Rice once I'm finished. Hanzaki shrugged, why not just eliminate all of the other ninja clans? Naruto frowned, that'd be genocide. A lot of these clans have done nothing wrong, yours hasn't really, right? You've all just been caught in shitty situations. I'd like allies who are willing to work towards a peace based on understanding each other. But you're willing to kill bandits and gangs? Seems hypocritical. Naruto, however, shakes his head. Most of the bandits and gangs on the road have done a lot worse. Murder, rape, pillaging innocent villages. Nah, I want nothing to do with them and everyone else is better off without those types left alive. They gave up their chance for redemption and now they're just part of the problem. Naruto, however, did pause to look directly at Hanzaki, unless you're saying you and your clan do the same. The mask was whispering that wasn't the case, but it was still good to hear it straight from the source. This mask really did come in handy. It wasn't killing intent that Hanzaki felt, but the pressure of that gaze made him wish he could be anywhere else in that moment. No, we are a ninja clan and have taken contracts for hire, but we've never acted needlessly. Hanzaki thought about everything Naruto had said so far. This kid seemed willing to back up his talk with action if the stories the returned clan members were anything to go off of. I think you have both guts and honor, but I need more. If you're going to clean up this country, I want our clan along for the ride to witness it. Take Sasami and Kotoheim with you. They'll see for themselves your actions and report back honestly. Even though Kotoheim had been a little off since her return, he at least trusted Sasami to be impartial. Naruto nodded at that, that's fine, I can watch after them and get things done at the same time. Turning to the pair who were now standing together, do you need to get ready or can we leave now? Kotoheim raised a hand while smiling brightly, I'm ready to go now, Lord Naruto. What she was ready to do, however, was left unsaid. That was for later, under the cover of night. Sasami sighed and nodded as well. I have all of our supplies sealed away, we're good to go. She could already tell she would need to keep Kotoheim in check. It was looking to be a long few weeks. Naruto nodded and saluted to Hanzaki as he turned away. Welp, we're gonna get to it then. See you in a week. Protect my clan members. Any harm comes to them, and as a man, you better take responsibility. Hanzaki's gaze flicked to Kotoheim, then back to Naruto. Any harm, got it? Yes, I got it, old man. Chuckling, the newly formed group began to race away back towards the trees and up into the tree cover. He's a bit of a worrywart, isn't he? Sasami smiled softly as they moved from tree to tree. He's been like that since we returned. I think he's both happy the clan is coming together and worried things could go wrong again. Orange hair floating behind her, the smaller girl was happy to have some freedom to do something after the last few days of being stuck at home. Naruto nodded. Welp, things should be pretty easy. I'm already mapping out targets and have our first one picked out. Should be there shortly actually. Kotoheim pulled up next to him. Who's that? Some bandits who have holed up in a cave under the mountain nearby. Pretty standard really. Sasami nodded and gained his attention while Yugo trailed behind them. What's our plan? Naruto shrugged. I spam copious amounts of clones and lay waste to anyone standing in my way, and you get to relax and watch. Maybe point me in different directions if your local information seems better than mine. Sasami did her best not to pout. This was about making their home better, not pride, even if it was boring. Boo. She tried. Kotoheim however was on cloud 9, back together and already showing just how manly he was. Oh yes, she chose her bow well. I'm okay with this plan, gives us more time together. Curiosity was finally getting the best of her. What's with the mask? She hadn't pegged Naruto as someone into drama. Naruto's grin was hidden, but the playful tone carried over. Oh, just wait, it's a fun little tool is all. Depending on how things went, he might explain it to the pair. This was meant to be a Uzumaki secret after all. Yugo just sighed as his leader was apparently both very skilled and completely capable of capturing women while on mission. He would take notes and hopefully learn from these experiences. Following along, they came upon what looked like an entrance to a mine tucked away at the base of a moderate hill. Naruto had jumped down to face the entrance about a dozen meters away while his 3 followers landed behind him. Alright, let's see what we got. Willing another 100 clones in existence, Naruto watched as they all began to run inside with little noise. Looking back, Naruto eyed Yugo. Watch over the girls, I've got to focus for a bit. Yes sir. Scanning the tree line and feeling out, Yugo began to walk around the area, just following nature's flow. Naruto himself closed his eyes and clasped his arms behind his back. It was always easier to direct his clones with his eyes closed and shutting things out. He was beginning to notice lately that if he focused hard it was almost like he could see through the clone's eyes. Don't know what part of the shadow clone technique would allow for that, but he would figure it out. Sasami watched interested as Yugo walked a bit away from them, random birds coming to rest on his outstretched arms and hands. That was a first. Yugo seemed very much at ease however, and at least if the forest animals were here that had to mean the area was safe. Kotoheim was watching Naruto, and so had a decent view as clones started dragging men out of the mine's entrance. Raising her eyebrows, she noted that many were dirty and their clothes were in tatters. Usually, most of the local bandits were displaced farmers or villagers down on their luck. She wasn't getting that vibe from the men Naruto's clones were dragging out hog-tied. Once there were 10 men dropped before them, Naruto sighed and seemed to shake himself. Oh, you lot are fucked. Naruto's voice was guttural as he moved to stand before the fearful men. One of his clones had dispelled, letting him know there were cages full of people inside. Mostly women and children, but there were some men as well, not enough though. Originally, I was going to give each of you orders to run and tell everyone you know that the maelstrom is here to clean house. Seeing some of what you lot do though. Slavers. There weren't just bandits, there were a network of slavers here. There was no need to hold back. I think only one of you gets to go free now. One of them was brave, making it to his knees to plead his case. Please my lord, let me carry your message. I know where the various clans are. That he would be running as fast and as far as his legs could carry him away from all this died in his throat. It didn't matter however. He never saw the kunai that lodged in his forehead. Naruto frowned, chakra flaring and pressing down on the assembled men before him. Anyone else want to speak out of turn? Idly he realized that he still had a lot of rage to work through. Things had been good recently in his personal life, but maybe he should make a personal visit to Konoha soon. Turning his gaze across all of the men, he eventually settled on one man who legitimately was pressed into this business against his will. He was still shit, but less shit. You. I'm going to mark you. A clone pressed a seal onto his back and then untied him. Redeem yourself. Carry my message to everyone you can find. Do so, and you'll go free to repent your ways. Try to run for it and I'll blow you to bits, got it? The seal faded away through his clothes, attaching directly to his skin and adhering tightly. Nothing short of another seal master would be removing it. Yes, my lord. Good, scram. The man made a hasty retreat while all the others yelled and began pleading their own cases. Naruto, however, mentally noted that the cave was now empty of prisoners. Many had no ties to Rice and had wished to go to Yuzu. A few still had family here and clones had taken them as far as they could. Naruto turned back to the Fuma girls. Do either of you know if this cave is still used for anything? Sasami thought it over. No, don't think so. Kotohime shook her head. Haven't heard anything about it. Naruto nodded and turned to his clones. Take M back into an empty chamber, lock M in. Yes, sir. Over the gathered men's protests, the clones all dragged or carried them back inside. Naruto, however, was already turning away, pausing only slightly at the sight of Yugo covered in forest animals. That's new. Yugo looked up and noticed the attention he was getting. Time to go, my lord? Yup, there's a port town that's apparently been subjugated by some thugs. Wanna make it there by tomorrow. Making a motion with a hand for everyone to follow him, they took to the trees once more. Behind them an explosion rang out and dust spewed from the mine entrance. Kotohime came up beside Naruto then. You are so in control, my lord. Perhaps you could give me a private demonstration later? Heh, you do remember other people are with us, correct? His clones had gotten him in trouble, again. They could learn a thing or two. Kotohime would not be denied. Coming to the end of available tree cover, the group of 4 dropped to the ground and adopted a more lax pace for the road. For Naruto, he figured it would be better from here to not scare the locals. Plus, roadside bandits were a thing that needed to be cleaned up. This clones would only cover so much roadway. They had already disposed of a few themselves though. Sasami walked along next to Yugo, while Kotohime tried her best to flirt and draw Naruto's attention. Sasami giggled and turned her attention to the taller man next to her. How long have you been with Naruto? You weren't with him the last time he was in Rice. Yugo shook his head as he looked down on the orange-haired girl. Not long. Lord Naruto actually saved me just recently. I decided to follow him and see out his vision. He had a second chance at life because of Naruto. He would die for the man if needed. Yugo believed Naruto had the power to change the world. Sasami smiled. He seems to really put his all into everything he does. He gave us a second chance as well. Our clan had splintered and some had been working with Orochimaru. But he saved us, and now he's going to help clean up our country. We'll be hard-pressed to repay that debt. Both shared a smile as their feelings seemed to mirror one another. They both respected Naruto greatly and were willing to follow him in his quest. Turning from one another to watch Naruto himself, they paused as a group of men came out onto the road from a rundown storage shack. All of them either chuckling or holding up weapons, they gave the group an ultimatum. Leave the girls and scram brats. Or we'll bleed you out here. Naruto sighed. Sure, he wanted to find bandits, but did they really need to be so cliché? Look guys, it's a nice day out. Why don't you go find some honest work and leave us alone? Ah, look boys, a taller lanky man strode forward with his hands on his hips. The girly boy think he's tough. Listen boy, we'll be taking the women. For speaking up, we're gonna beat ya and make you watch us have a taste of them. Got it? Naruto, however, just sighed and created clones. You're just so gross. The man in front of him being left alone, the other clones raced ahead, each grabbing a man before attaching an explosive note and then hurling them over the rice fields with all their strength. Like grotesque human fireworks, the men were sent screaming before they exploded and rained down pink mist. Turning back to the leader himself, the man had dropped to his ass and was crab walking away from Naruto. And I am a ninja. Oh, of course they had tried to jump some ninja. Of all the rotten luck. Naruto added some chakra to his eyes for added effect, making them shine as he looked down on the coward. Run away. Run and tell everyone the maelstrom is coming. Seeing the man nod quickly and run off, the boy removed his mask and sealed it away in his jacket. The sleeves were started to get a little short. Or was he getting taller? Kotoheim was grinning wide, quick and efficient. Though you let one go again. Why? They all started walking again. It gets the message out. Hopefully some of these groups will leave and make a run for it, or some will try to band together to fight me. That's good for me, as it means I won't have to go all over the country to find them. If it saved him any time at all, he was going to appreciate it. He wanted to get back to Spring and the girls. Walking along, Kotoheim indulged her curiosity some more. Where are you from, Lord Naruto? Chuckling, Naruto pointed lazily at the trees. I'm originally from the Leaf Village. But I've since left them behind. The village council screwed me over pretty good and someone apparently tried to kill me. So me and some of my friends left to do our own thing for a while. You were from the Leaf? Kotoheim thought about that for a while in silence. Her sister had been lost in the Leaf during the invasion. At first, she had hated the Leaf because she thought they were responsible. It took a while to learn the truth and realize Orochimaru had used her as a sacrifice. Yet she still had followed the gifted-tongued man, believing his words and promises. Maybe if they had really seen the snake bastard for who he really was, Kin would still be alive today. Naruto, however, wasn't privy to those thoughts, just answering her question instead. Yeah. Grew up there. Had to leave behind some really good friends. I'm hoping I can convince them to come with me later, thought. He would love to get the Ichirakus to defect for sure. Iruka would be a hard sell and Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi would probably be all but impossible. He would try though. He'd show them Yuzu in Spring. Let them see just what he was doing. Hopefully Sasuke could forgive him for leaving. Kotoheim speaks up for a bit. You know, I used to hate the Leaf. Seeing Naruto turn to face her, she nodded to him. My sister, Kin, died during the invasion. I had, though it had been the work of your ninja. But Orochimaru admitted that she had sacrificed herself for him and one of his techniques. It still took me a while to get over my hatred of them. But you, at least, I hold no grudge towards. We all have a second chance because of you, and I am grateful for it. Naruto appreciates the slightly older girl being honest with him. For what it's worth, I think it's perfectly okay to hate the Leaf, but I think I get what you mean. He hadn't grown up with a sibling, so he couldn't really relate. Losing someone precious, however, that thought had him in knots. Sasami chimed in, I wonder, maybe if we had met without Orochimaru or the Leaf being so shittied, you think we'd still be able to be close like this? Naruto shrugs, I think, if we had met, we probably would have been. He probably wouldn't have met them if he hadn't left the Leaf, however. Doubtful any mission they took would have planted them in the middle of a sound base. Looking up, Naruto notes the sun making its way lower into the sky. Come on, I want to hit that wooded area up ahead soon and turn in for the night. We should reach the port town by tomorrow midday. Kotoheim saluted with a smile, lead the way, Lord Naruto. I'll be happy to help you relax later. Sasami just sighed as their pace picked up just a bit. This is going to be a long mission. Yugo agreed with her though for different reasons, most likely. It was nice to be able to be around normal people and not have to worry about flying into a rage. He would cherish each and every moment from here on. All thanks to his lord. Scene change, the next day found the group walking into what looked like a busy port town by the sea. None of them could ignore the smells, however. Like something rotten was hovering over the place. Naruto decided to head off behind a building and, unnoticed by the civilians, began making clones and transforming them into random-looking people. Their orders for the day were to hunt down the gang running this town. Task complete, he rejoined the group and they made their way through town towards the port itself. Mask firmly on, Naruto figured there was always something going on around a port. Sasami and Kotoheim had frowns on their faces as they walked along. The people they could see looked beaten, ragged. Someone was putting the squeeze to the townsfolk and it was obviously taking its toll. What few children they saw all looked underweight, more than a few barely had the energy to just sit and watch the group pass them by. Kotoheim frowned, so distracted by bringing our clan back to power that we ignored this in our own home. Sasami nodded, even if we wanted to we just didn't have enough people. It's been a pain just bringing the clan back together. Even to her, however, it felt like an excuse. Simple gangs and bandits weren't problems for ninja. Any of them could have started helping. Naruto, however, has his hands in his pockets as he walked, doesn't matter now. I'm here to do just that. We're going to clean up every village and town we find and wipe the slate clean, let the people start over. Mask covering his face and preventing the others from seeing his own disgusted face, they were all stopped by a pair of goons who looked like they hadn't bathed in a month. Looky at the tourists, Jin, don't they look just so out of place? This one was balding, with wispy hair clinging to a scab-filled scalp. Most notably, he had all of his teeth, though they were rotten. Sure do, Rin, but the women are mighty fine lookin'. Thinkin' we can have some fun ya? Jin, however, had long shaggy hair down to his back, though his burly frame produced an odor that had Naruto wincing. This one would have to go. Kotoheim has a bored look on her face. Do all of the men around here only think with their peckers? Naruto, however, has decided he needs to make an example out of one of them, and apparently the overweight Jin was the one to go. A Rasengan appeared in his hand. Listen, I only need one of you. Run back to your leaders and let them know I'm coming for them. The little kitty thinks he scares us with the light show. We ain't afraid of you, boy. Rin pulled a rusty knife from a pocket and brandished it with a grin. Naruto shrugged and let the Rasengan fly, a thin chakra thread holding it together as it connected with Jin and sent him flying away down the street. Body crashing into the dirt eventually, Jin's internal organs couldn't hold up against the grinding might of the attack. He was dead even before his body came to rest. Rin looked back towards his brother slowly, not believing what he just saw. It was a trick, it had to be a trick. How could this kid do this to his brother? Turning back with fear in his eyes, he nearly wet himself at the shining eyes behind the mask. "Wanna dance, mister?" Rin turned and fled back towards the docks at full speed. The boss would want to hear about this. Kotoheim giggled. Was that really necessary? Naruto shook his head. No, but I consider rapist pretty much at the bottom of life. It's like stepping on an ant. The group walking forward, Naruto began to circulate chakra through his body. Gotta remember to clean up after myself. Reaching down to pick up the dead man, Naruto spun once, before throwing Jin towards the ocean. Holding a hand to cover his eyes from the sun, he pumped his fist at the splash in the distance. Didn't hit anyone innocent. I call that a good job. Memories pouring in, Naruto nodded. Yup, major gang in a warehouse at the dock. Yuko stepped forward. Would you like me to take care of this, my lord? Naruto almost said no he would, but then paused. One of the things he would need to learn was to let others do the work as well. Yes, he could do everything, but he didn't need to do everything. And these were just basic thugs. The warehouse they're holed up in is full of supplies. Think you can take them out without destroying anything? Since the seal you placed on me, yes, I believe I can do that. He felt like he had much better control of his emotions. He should have no problems in battle. Okay, when we get there, you can have at them. I want no one spared. It will be done. Yugo fell into step behind Naruto as the group continued on toward the docks. As they walk, Naruto is hit with memories from several clones. Some knocking around thugs and kids who think they're tough. A few tearing apart some murderers mid-act. A few more helping children and making themselves useful. Almost all of them, when asked, tell the people to thank Uzushio or the blonde Maelstrom himself. As they came upon the docks and walked past several ships in poor repair and even less functional fishing boats, they all stopped before a warehouse that was closed up with several guards out front. Naruto pointed ahead. Remember, no damage to the dock or the supplies. And bring me the leader himself. Yugo nods and rushes off, body changing as his blood ability kicked in. Arms forming into scythes, he was the incarnate of death as he dispatched first the guards and then the doors leading to the warehouse. Behind them and unnoticed by Naruto, a crowd was beginning to form. Yugo himself found it easy to control his usual battle rage and lust for destruction. More so that these were just normal people, not ninja. This was no battle. It was slaughter. It was moments before he was able to pick out and isolate the gaudiest dressed thug in the room, injuring his knee and preventing him from running away. From there, the 24 men, who all were gathered arguing over what to do, were set upon by Yugo. Armsides flying, it was less than a minute before the warehouse was empty. As his lord requested, no damage to any of the supplies was made. The rows and rows of containers and wood boxes unscathed. Though he wasn't sure if the doors would count as dock damage. He would accept punishment if they were. Grabbing the blubbering leader in his hand, he dragged the rat along with him. Naruto and the others watched as Yugo returned dragging a brown-haired man in what looked like a cheap business suit and multiple rings on his fingers. Frowning as the man was dropped at his feet, Naruto only had one question. What was the point of all of this? Well, what the hell do you mean, brat? Yugo's foot crashed down onto his injured knee, forcing a scream from him. Do well to address my lord with respect. Naruto held up a hand, continuing to look down on the thug. I don't like repeating myself to trash. What was the point of all of this? The point? What's the point of anything? We had power, so we took what we wanted. That's it, kid. This world is kill or be kill. Be the shepherd or be the lamb. I refuse to be a lamb. Naruto sighed. A shepherd is meant to guide his flock, to help it grow. You seem to have missed that step. Turning away, Naruto prepared to leave and dropped an exploding note that sealed itself to the man's back, his mask telling him just what kind of human garbage this man was. Yugo, take out the trash. Bowing, Yugo's muscles began to expand. As you wish. Wait. I can get you things. Money, women. Anything. Yugo tossed him over the bay, much as Naruto had done with the other corpse. The explosion that followed seeded the water with meat and blood. Naruto, however, was turning to the assembled people. Listen to me. I do not expect any of you to know who I am. Some call me the Blonde Maelstrom. I hail from a nation hidden in whirlpools. My one goal is to save and unite all of the people, much like myself, much like all of you. The downtrodden. The beaten. The used. I want there to be true peace, where we all can wake up to a new day without worry that some new war or some new power comes to take what we have away. That is my dream, and here today, I hope you can see that and throw your support towards that. Rebuild your home, take control, and together with your friends and allies, help seize a real future for yourselves. There were mutters and slowly building support as several people began to build up a chant. Support for the blonde was strong with the people who had seen those claiming to be from Yuzu helping out around town. And soon, there was a unified chant that rose above the noise of the dockworks. Maelstrom! 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 Naruto turned back to his companions, eyes shining. While they couldn't see his face, they all felt like he was smiling. Time to move on. We have more work to do. Turning back to the crowd, he raised a fist and they all slowly quieted. I cannot stay, but look to the Fuma clan for help and guidance. They will be my eyes and ears while I'm gone. Another cheer, and then Naruto was up and away over the rooftops, the group following behind not a moment later. Sasami pulled up beside him while Kotohime had hearts in her eyes. That's a lot to promise on behalf of another clan. Naruto shrugged. You say you want to help your country and your people, so would you not help them if they asked? That's. Sasami admitted that yes they would, but Hanzaki might take offense over not being asked about it first. Kotohime had another thought entirely. Men of strength do not ask for permission. They do. Lord Naruto is setting an example that people can emulate and follow. That is the mark of a leader. In her mind, it validated what she had felt about him. This was a man of character and action. He was not just nice. He knew what he wanted and knew what it took to get it. Naruto grinned and pulled ahead. One more stop and then we're done. My clones either took care of other smaller guys or didn't find anything else. Yugo nodded. We shall rid the earth of your enemies, my lord. Naruto chucked. Trust me, if we tried that it'd be a very empty world. Sometimes just mutual understanding enough. Here he paused as he removed his mask and sealed it away. Even if that understanding is that I will erase them from existence. Omake Koyuki admitted that as an actress she was a bit of a basket case. She could be hard to work with and harder still to please. But she was also a star who put on amazing performances the world over. Becoming her country's daimyo didn't stop that, and currently she was on set for a short-run film that could be filmed completely in spring, which was a plus. However, the director and most of the crew had certain complaints about her personal staff. The wine you requested, Haim. Holding out a glass, a well-muscled blonde clad in only tight biker shorts filled it for her. Chilled, just as she liked. Haim, I have a selection of fish from Wave that are today fresh. Another blonde meal before her, holding up a tray loaded with expertly cut fresh fish. Another scantily clad blonde picked up a piece she pointed out, feeding it to her with a smile while she moaned in delight. Behind her, another worked and massaged her shoulders, while a fifth fanned her with what looked like a war fan from Suna. He wouldn't explain how he got it, but she was enjoying it all the same. Approaching her, one of the director's staff wanted to update her on the schedule. He was however blocked by a blonde holding a sword over his shoulder. Who are you, bub? Koyuki giggled at the overprotective Naruto clone. Oh, it's alright, he's a member of the staff, he's okay. Of course Haim. Letting the guy through the clone still gave him the stink eye. Away from them all, the director had Sandai off to the side. She isn't usually like this, is she? Sandai sighed and shook his head. She has certain perks that come with being the daimyo. Having a powerful ninja on call nearly 24/7 is one of them. I'm assuming picking a fight with the blonde is a bad idea. Monumentally bad. Koyuki just smiled and leaned back in her seat as the functionary left. A little harder, Naruto. Yes. A girl could get used to being pampered like this. Chapter 25. Konoha was by and large a peaceful and prosperous village. The villagers themselves had nothing to truly worry about, as Konoha had shown time and time again that even if battle fell upon them, it would be swiftly dealt with. That confidence in their protectors bled over from the villagers themselves into the ninja who protected them. Happy, confident ninja tended to work and perform better in the end as well. Things had slowly changed. Many of the villagers who had been saved by Naruto during the sand/sound invasion had taken note that they hadn't seen the hyperactive blonde in a long time. Rumors had begun to circulate, from he had been courted into the daimyo's new guardian ninja corps, to he had begun secretly training as the next Hokage. Some, more whispered in dark places, had assumed the demon brat had finally gotten his on some mission and kicked the bucket. These rumors were smaller, somewhat buoyed by the new addition to Team 7. The civilians, however, were still hopeful. Peace was a nice thing after all. The ninja, however, knew better and were keeping a tight lid on the truth. Contracts that had been earned because of Naruto's performance during the Chunin exams and his subsequent almost single-handed rescue of the entire village had begun to wane. The blonde maelstrom he had been called. While the blonde had been spotted in several nations so far. From Hot Spring to Rice and even Earth. Bandits and enemy ninja were learning to fear him, while civilians who met him were praising his abilities and his character. But Leaf Ninja were worried. Because they knew, even if not the whole truth, that the village had done the boy horribly wrong. Soon they knew the hammer was coming down. Because the fire daimyo was coming to visit the Leaf. Tsunade sat before the council in a smaller meeting room within the Hokage Tower. Everyone was quiet as she just announced to them all that the fire daimyo would be coming to Konoha by the end of the month to give them time to prepare. While the civilians would want to celebrate and put on a festival, she let them all know that this visit was due to the flight of the Uzumaki clan. Tsuma's the first to bring up the biggest issue here. One way or another, we are going to lose face. We fucked up. This is us having to face the music, so to speak. Hayashi nodded. Will the Uzumaki be here to attend and speak their grievances? Tsunade shook her head. No. This meeting is to get our side of things and give the daimyo information. After this, he will be meeting with the Uzumaki at their current location. Shikaku frowned. The daimyo did not share that information? Nope. Seems he doesn't trust us. Wonder why. Tsunade sniped back, frowning towards the civilians on the council. Several of which look ready to plead their own case. Danzo, however, places a hand on the table. Perhaps the civilian members of the council should keep their mouths shut for the time being. You've blundered this enough. Finally having enough leverage over the fools to keep them on a leash, Danzo had no qualms about putting them on notice. If only Tsunade had this type of influence. She was still such a child, the drunk. Tsum loathes it, but agrees with Danzo in this. Ya know, I hate to say it, but Danzo's right. If not for you, we wouldn't be in this mess. So best to keep quiet for now. Tsum was all for at minimum publicly apologizing to the Uzumaki and offering reparations. It would have been the fastest and easiest way to make amends, even if some face would have been lost. Honor was more important in her book. Inoichi motions to Choza, who nods and thumps his chest. Perhaps then, since we know we can't really talk our way out of this, we all help put on our village's best for the daimyo when he arrives? Show him that even without the Uzumaki, our village is still plenty strong. Shikaku waved a hand to shake away the thought. It was too one-dimensional. The daimyo is smarter than that. He won't be swayed by pretty lights and carnival games. We can still put on a strong face. Every little bit helps. Inoichi chimes in. It'd help even more if we had the Uzumaki or his clansmen attend. At least show we have some contact and are attempting to reconcile. Danzo chimed in again while ignoring his own plans in place for the Uzumaki. With luck, his reconditioned agent will have made contact with the boy by now. Tsunade nods to it all and leans back. The festival will be approved, no problem. We have what resources we can spare looking for Naruto and his group. We still will not list any of them as missing mean. Here she paused and glared at the civilian members. Hopefully we can slip through this without too much drama. Psum grumbles, wouldn't be any drama at all if the civilian council didn't get so greedy. Tsunade slams a hand on the table, enough of that. Now we need to all come together and put on a brave face. We can talk about who's a dumbass and who did wrong later, understood? Getting nods and verbal agreements, Tsunade picks up a form in front of her. Alright, first off, where will we be accommodating the daimyo while he and his entourage stay? This was going to be a long meeting that Sunday wasn't looking forward to, but hopefully they would get some new letters from Naruto soon. She was looking forward to word from the boy. Outside and on the ninja training grounds, Team 7 is hard at work. Today is chakra exercises, while Kakashi runs them through mental drills, at least had been. The day was beginning to wind down and they were all chatting as they worked through cool-down routines. Kakashi brings up their upcoming patrol mission. It should be a week long. We will be patrolling from Hot Spring to Rice and back to Konoha. Is everyone prepared? He wasn't shocked that their patrol route somewhat coincided with where their missing blonde had been sighted. Sakura was ready for a trip out of the village finally. They had been cooped up for too long. Though the time with Sasuke had been well worth it. It'd be nice if we could visit some of the springs while we're out. I hear they're amazing. Secretly she wanted to hunt down the hidden spring of increased bust. She had heard about it in rumors around the hospital, and even if they were fake, she was willing to track it down. Tsunade had to be hoarding that information to herself. Sasuke was transitioning from closed leg to open leg stretches on the ground. Flexibility was important after all, a vacation would be nice. He tried not to think about Sakura in a swimsuit. He failed. But he was happy with this failure. Sai however was fine being a party pooper, that has nothing to do with the mission. It is a partal, not a sightseeing tour. Sakura groans as she moved from sit-ups to scissor kicks, her physical fitness still needing improvement. The mission isn't everything you know. Life is meant to be lived after all. She missed Sai pondering that statement as he was working through his art book. Currently drawing the likeness of a woman and a serpent together. Kakashi however, claps his hands together to draw everyone's attention. Well said Sakura. While the mission is important, we can't forget to live our lives to the fullest. Now, everyone take a few laps of the field and we'll call it here for the day. Hearing groans, the teens eventually came to their feet and complied. Kakashi himself, however, allowed his thoughts to turn inwards. It hadn't been all that long ago that he had been pulled into a bar crawl with Kurenai and Anko. Kurenai because she was still upset over Hinata leaving, and Anko because she had her own business to unload. The women however figured Kakashi always needed time out because the guy was always stuck in the past and even he couldn't deny that. So here they were, sitting in a booth at a bar and drinking heavily. Anko however was pretty far into her drinks. You know, I sorta get why little Naruto left. Seeing the others look at her questioningly, Anko shrugs, you know me. Remember how I was treated, hell still am treated, all because Orochimaru trained me? I'm still a special jonin because the council has decided they can't trust me to train students and give me my full certification. What a load of shit. Sometimes this village really knows how to treat its best and brightest. Taking a shot of her current drink of choice, Anko laid out across the table. Kurenai rubs her friend's back, and yet you're still here. Trying to prove them wrong. That's what makes you such a great example of a good kunoichi of the leaf. Kakashi himself couldn't fault Anko and for once said as much. I can't say I blame him or you. I've not thought about it. But it's our duty as upper-ranked ninja to work through or bury our own problems and pass on something better for the next generation. We've been through some shit. War, assassinations, seductions, you name it. All before these kids even left the academy. I wouldn't wish any of that on them. Anko however isn't convinced, not leaving her laid out position. But what the fuck happens when there isn't a better option? What if leaving is what's best? Mind hazy, she could only be this honest with her closest friends. She gave thanks that Kurenai didn't bring that stick in the mud along. Kakashi, however, has paused mid-drink as he thinks over what she said. Knowing that he's been faced with such decisions himself. Some old and some recent actually. Taking a drink after a moment, he shrugs, all we can do is what we think is best for the next generation. No matter what that may be. Kurenai and Anko raise their cups and drink with him, while he begins to key up teasing for the single snake mistress. He had seen her and that academy teacher together a lot recently. Snapping out of it as he hears Sakura bickering with Sai, Kakashi vows to continue to do the best he can for all of his students. Even those that aren't around at the moment. You don't abandon your comrades after all. Scene change. Far away in Wind Country, we find the sand village. Hot, dusty, but alive in its way, the village hidden in the sand was a resilient place. Its people reflected this, surviving and thriving in a climate and landscape that for anyone else would be a death sentence. At its center was, as with most ninja villages, was the Kage Tower in which Gaara, the newly minted Kazekage, was reading a letter from of all places Wave. Last he checked, he hadn't sent anyone out to the small island nation, and for sure Suna had not had any interactions with them. Here they were, however, sending him a letter congratulating him on his ascension to Kazekage and wishing his siblings well. The rest of the letter detailed potential trade agreements and a possible alliance between the nations, though the sender, this tsunami, even admitted that would have to wait until their leader returned. Huh. So a functionary decided to take the initiative on this, curious. Making a motion for his secretary, he asks for his siblings to be called. He was curious for sure, but needed outside opinion still. Normal human interaction was still something he was working on after all, though even for him this letter was sending odd signals. Having turned to other paperwork while he waited, it didn't take long until first Kankuro and soon Temari were in his office while his current secretary closes and locks the door. After expressing just what is in the letter he had received, his siblings offer their own opinions on the matter. Kankuro shrugs as he takes his customary seat in the corner and unseals a puppet to begin working on it, seeing as this wasn't something super important. Not like we have much to benefit. Any trade from a nation that far away would have to go through the land of fire, and you know the kind of taxes that'll get hit by. Kankuro himself didn't care for the leaf or fire nation. Temari, however, was sitting on the couch while actually thinking it over, unless the trade route is completely by sea. It would be longer, having to traverse around the land of tea, but it's doable. The idea of anyone wanting to trade with them was sort of amazing. It wasn't like they had much to trade at all anyway, besides heavy metals and sand. But what good was that? Kankuro brings up a point that he didn't believe was considered. Why even bother with such a small nation? We could chuck the letter and forget them and realistically not miss anything. Gaara, however, holds up the letter, pointing at a section at the end. I might have, if not for this passage. It mentions that they hope my tenant has gotten over being turned into glass for a while. How many people on the planet are privy to that battle? Temari is grinning already. Oh ho. So the blonde powerhouse is up to some major moves then. This would require some planning then. Unnoticed to her, both boys shudder. Gaara nods after a minute. It appears so. If this is Naruto, or someone working for him, then it is at least worth the look. Kankuro shakes his head and crosses his arms over his chest. No one officially from the sand can go. We have no official reason to be there, and tensions with us between fire are already tense still. Temari raised a hand from where she was on the couch. I can go. I'm technically a diplomat now, and things with Konoha have stalled for some reason. So I'm free to go take a look around, meet up with this tsunami. Gaara thinks that over as Temari was most likely the best choice for this. She was smart and diplomatically a better choice than himself or his brother, or anyone else from his administration. I'll write a letter for you to take with you tomorrow. Think you'll be prepared by then? Temari nods and sits up straight. I'll be ready and able, first thing in the morning. A grin was beginning to stretch across her face that had the other boys shuddering. They refused to comment, however, as that way led to mental trauma. Scene change. In Earth Country. If a Wagakure could be described as anything, it would most likely be unyielding. Having stood the test of time, the village and its people were collectively a stubborn and no-compromise type. That it had taken one of their own, now an infamous Nuke Nin, to destroy their village once said much about their strength. Inside his office, Anoki works through his paperwork while grumbling and complaining to the only other two occupants of the room, his grandchildren. Kuratsuchi and Kazuchi stood behind his shoulders while he complained, again, about some new blonde who was making a name for himself. In Earth Country no less. Saving prisoners from Orochimaru, they were trying to make a fool out of him, he just knew it. And to top it off, the Leaf seemed to have misplaced their Jinchuriki as well. At least if the rumors are to be believed. Anoki finally shoved the paperwork aside. He wasn't going to be getting anything done as it was. Kuratsuchi shrugged. No one has any proof, and right now, getting anyone into the Leaf to spy is all but impossible. Kuzochi agreed with his sister. That's right, there's a pretty tight lockdown going on there. Inoki crossed his arms and nodded, exactly. Think about it. An island in the south is just gone. That takes monumental power. That Maelstrom character has been sighted in Rice. Civilians, even some of ours, are migrating somewhere beyond the Fire Nation's borders. Thinking on it, he slammed both hands on the desk. Someone's changing the game, and I don't like it. Kuzochi leaned forward a bit. Couldn't change be a good thing? Inoki shook his head. Not when someone is amassing power. Missing Jinchuriki, a buildup of forces, some new S-rank ninja on the loose. No. I don't like it. Kuratsuchi grinned. Do you like anything, Grandpa? Quiet brat. Inoki thinks it over, grumbling some more while his grandchildren wait. If only Deidara hadn't gone off the deep end and left. He'd be perfect for Tihis. Kuro? Yes, Grandpa? I want you to look into this blonde Maelstrom character. Quietly if you can. I don't want the leaf building up their strength unchecked, and I think whoever this is probably has the answer. Here the much shorter old man looked up to his granddaughter. Do not attempt to fight or engage. Gather info, run, that's it. Kuratsuchi was ecstatic, hopping over the desk to spin and salute to her grandfather. On it, Granddad. I'll sniff the guy or girl out within a week. And like that she was gone, lapel flapping in the breeze. Kazuchi stands there quietly for a bit while Inoki goes back to his paperwork. Shuffling from one foot to another quietly until Inoki finally addresses him. What boy? It might have been better if I had gone. He knew his sister. She would be itching to fight this guy if given the chance. Inoki leaned forward and massaged his shoulders. One of you needed to stay. You're the better choice for that. Little Kuro can only be cooped up for so long. That Kazuchi was better at back rubs, didn't factor in at all. Well. Yes, it did. Inoki was old, he didn't need to lie about it anymore. Let him be pampered, damn it. Kazuchi has another question, however. What do we do when we find this maelstrom and where he's operating out of? Savage grin on his face, Inoki said upon his paperwork. What we would do with any upstart leaf. Burn it. It wasn't like this one was on par with their fourth Hokage. Someone like that was a rare oddity anyway. No, they would put this upstart down as a warning to Konoha and its new Hokage not to get too big for its britches. Scene change in lightning. A similar conversation is going on between A and his two current Jinchuriki. The harsh-looking blonde Yujito and the large multi-sword wielding B are standing before his desk at attention. The conversation is on the whereabouts of the Kyubi and what they could do. A sticks to what works for Kumo. Currently, I want the Kyubi found and brought to Kumo. B shrugs as he's already over being inside the village, ready to go back to being a hermit. So you're the man, what's the plan? The Reikage frowned and leans forward on his elbows, tenting his hands. I have two fronts to this. First, Yujito. Yes, sir? Once we locate the boy, you're to attempt to seduce him into coming to our side peacefully. Sources say Konoha fumbled that connection greatly, lean on that. He's just a boy, you shouldn't have too much trouble on that end. While I had other interest, he could admit Yujito had her own charm that was eye-catching. Surely she shouldn't have too much trouble bending some wet behind-the-ears brat around her fingers. Then he turned to B, if that fails, you're to beat him into submission. Crush him and drag him back here. You have the most control of your demon, that boy couldn't have even started training with it yet. Use your experience and training against him. Power-wise, there was still a massive gap between the 8 tails and the 9 tails, but B's training and experience should bridge it. B shakes his head, bad idea yo, kid is smarter than you think though, should talk, don't balk, or he'll walk. Denied. Plan is simple and effective. Plus, with these Akatsuki jokers out, I want you both mobile. Get to it. B, you can take your team. Do not get sidetracked. Seeing both Jinchuriki salute, he dismissed them with a wave. Outside the office, and meandering their way towards the gates, Yujito speaks up finally in her quiet voice. You and I both know this isn't going to work. Gotta try, or do you want to die? I'm serious. Yujito stopped and forcefully turned the larger dark-skinned man wearing glasses. If he's even a little like us, he's going to sniff us out and be gone before we even get a chance to open our mouths. B shrugs and makes a pose. Us Jinchuriki gotta stick together, work together. Can't always be so cautious yo. Yujito rolls her eyes and turns to start walking again. You're a lost cause. Maybe I'll defect with the kid. Aw come on Yujito, don't be that way. Rhyming stopped under his duress, the bigger man complained and whined as Yujito continued to ignore him. This was making out to be the start of a very long mission. Yujito voiced one concern she had. This kid. He apparently took on the one tails by himself and won easily. That's Kage level power already, and he's had time to grow and learn since then. Think we should be worried? Yes. At the very straightforward answer, Yujito turned to look at the bigger man who shrugged while fingering one of his multiple swords. Kid's gonna be on edge, wary. He won't trust us or anyone coming for him. Bro's not wrong, soft approach is good, just as a friend, not the seductress. Seeing B actually take this serious for a moment, Yujito eventually nods and turns to continue their trek. Got it. Anything that can stop your rapping means business. Huh. I wonder if the kid is hot. I haven't had a decent roll in the hay in a while. Plus, demon containers usually had some pretty amazing stamina, that should translate over. No go, no go. That's a kid you're trying to make a bid for. If there's a headband on, then we're getting it on. No. Suddenly the older Jinchuriki was very worried about this mission. Scene change, Kabuto had to duck to avoid the teacup that splattered against the wall behind his head. It seemed today was also a bad day for his leader and mentor. Standing to his full height, he watched as Orochimaru ranted and raved against everything that had been happening lately. 3 lost bases so far, several thousand test subjects just missing, and no clue exactly who it was. Well, no concrete proof, but Orochimaru was very vocal about who he believed it was. That little brat. I'm going to hunt him down and squeeze the life out of him with my own 2 hands. Band-aid form still throbbing and aching from his latest transplant, the Sannin was ready to throttle someone. Where are the sound 4? I have a mission for them. They are on the way, my lord. Perhaps it would have been better to kill little Naruto when we had the chance. I'm sure I could have done the deed. Orochimaru scoffs as he paces about his dark torchlit office. I'm sure you would have tried. Do you remember just what he was capable of? He used a bomb capable of creating a dead zone just outside of Tanzaku town. Nothing grows there anymore. Even trying to go there yourself can lead to death later. No, I should not have underestimated him. I won't do so again. No, he wouldn't. Let that little shit make a fool out of him? Not again, no. He'd kill him personally. The boy has likely gotten even more powerful since our last meeting. Direct confrontation might no longer be an option, which means coercion. Something else to keep him away from us. Kabuto pulls free a scroll, copied records from of all places Konoha, detailing that Naruto had indeed left. Maybe we should first bend our resources into finding where he has run off to. Orochimaru thinks on that. Originally, he had wanted to use little Tayuya and that brat Karen in order to bring Naruto around to his side. Something was now interfering with the Uzumaki's tracking seal, however, and he could no longer feel it. That meant starting from scratch. Take the sound for yourself, head first to Konoha, and try to get information on his whereabouts. From there track him down, but, quietly, I wish to deal with the boy myself. Do you think that wise, my lord? I haven't fought him with intent to kill. That's all changed. He wants a war, he's getting one. Now go, I don't want to see you unless you have news for me. Understood, my lord. Without another word, Kabuto was gone, leaving Orochimaru alone. Raging again, he flexed his chakra and tore a hole in the wall of his office. I should have killed the boy when I had the chance in that dank forest. If only I hadn't gotten so curious. Curse those Uzumaki. In hindsight, he should have known better. The past never seemed to be very forgiving of faults, however. Across the nations, all of the major nations with exception to Mist all seemed to have one thought on their minds and set similar plans in motion. Find the Maelstrom and convince or retrieve him for their cause. And while all of them currently seem to forget that it was these kind of actions that led to the Maelstrom leaving his home village in the first place, they all put stock in the fact that they were major nations. If they wanted something done, it got done. That was how it had been for decades now, and some brat wasn't going to change that. May and the Mist had the belief that they would rather not try to rebuild a glass crater, thank you very much. They would be staying out of it for now. Somewhere, away from the machinations of the major ninja villages and deep within the country of rice, Naruto himself sneezed several times in a row. This surprised not just himself, as he knew he wasn't allergic to anything, but also everyone with him, as none of them had seen him indicate he was sick. Naruto, however, just rubbed his nose and shrugged at their questioning looks. Someone must be talking about me. Kotohime leaned over with a handkerchief and exposed her cleavage on accident. Here, let me. Naruto, however, waved her off and produced his own rag to check his nose. That was weird. Am I the only one who felt like someone walked over my grave? Kurama chuckled. First time being hunted by several groups at once, huh? You'll get used to it. Get used to it? What do you mean? Kurama went back to ignoring him. Wait a minute, fuzzball. What do you know? Tell me. If I die, you die, remember that. You'll be fine, believe it. That's my line, asshole. If only Naruto knew what was coming over the horizon. Chapter 26. Naruto watched quietly from his treetop vantage as the bandits rallied behind an improvised fort below them. It had been a few days of wandering from one side of Rice Country to the other, cleaning up rogue gangs and bandits, but this was the last stop for him. Several bandit groups had rolled together in some attempt to consolidate power. It wasn't going to help, but Naruto could appreciate that they were trying. Behind him, Kotohime, Sasami, and Yugo were watching and waiting for his go-ahead to do anything. He was currently their leader in this endeavor after all. Of course, Kotohime was nearly foaming at the mouth with her desire to bed the young man, while Sasami was stuck between greatly respecting and admiring him for his courage and strength of character and wanting to run away because of Kotohime. The girl had just been so graphic about what she wanted to do with the boy. No. Someone more like Yugo was her speed. Someone strong and calm, plus their hair matched. That had to be fate. Yugo was just having a ball learning all he could about his new lord. There were no thoughts of women or future plans in his mind at all. If only he knew what Naruto had planned for him. Someone needed to take some of this womanly heat off the young man after all. Sorry, Yugo, you would be a sacrifice soon. Naruto, however, motioned down to the ground, dropping down himself in full view of the short wooden fence that the bandits had erected. Stretching and preparing himself mentally, he had stowed his mask away before this. He already knew he wouldn't need it. Kotohime, however, was leaning over his shoulder, her yukata much more open than it had been the last few days. So what's the plan, my lord? She had found Naruto to be incredibly strong, patient, and loyal to his creed. Qualities many men of this time failed in. She was not letting him escape her. If she had to share, then so be it. Naruto, however, was doing his best to focus on what was ahead of him. These guys are some of the worst of the worst. They aren't getting a second chance. I'll wipe them out quickly, take you girls back to your clan, and then head back to continue my work. It had been nearly a week since he had left Spring. Sure, there wouldn't have been any major progress in terms of training, but he still missed his girls. Still felt odd saying that, even mentally. So you have multiple mates, any strong bull should. We aren't animals, things are a little different for humans. If you say so. Wait until you start mating, you'll understand then. Why are all of my mentors such perverts? Again, wait until you mate once, you'll understand. Mental link fading, Naruto resisted the urge to pull his hair out as they approached the hastily built gate. It was barely 6 feet high and had obviously been constructed quickly. Who was that supposed to stop? Who the hell are you? Go away unless you want to die. Naruto ignores them for a moment, making all at once close to 1,000 clones, before focusing on the guard. Look. I'll only say this once. Tell everyone inside to lay down your weapons and surrender yourself to the daimyo for judgment. Or I'll kill you all. The fuck you trying to pull, kid? What's the ninja trick you're trying to fake? Everyone knows clones can't touch anything. Naruto shrugged. I won't repeat myself. Sasami leaned forward this time. I'm guessing you won't need help at all, right? Nah, I've got this trash. My lord, this is below you, shouldn't I take care of this? Naruto shook his head as they all ignored the guards ranting at them to leave. It's okay, I've been letting you take out the bandits and gangs we've been running into on the road so far, let me have my fun. Making a signal, Naruto's clones swept into the camp. Amid the screams, yells, and explosions were multiple copies of Naruto voices calling out one-liners. He really needed to check on that. It was nearly over before the last clone even had a chance to jump over the wall. Naruto started forward while followed by the others. 2 cheeky clones opened the doors to allow everyone to see the carnage inside. Just like the last few camps, the Narutos were quick and efficient in their destruction. There wasn't a bandit standing by this point, and most of the clones were looting whatever was useful and sealing it away into a medium-sized scroll prepared by a clone hanging out in the middle of the camp. Sasami frowns about that. You're taking their stuff. Naruto shook his head. I'm sealing it away to give to Hanzaki, I'm not taking it for myself. Which was his intent. He didn't plan on taking anything. He was rebuilding a nation with no planes to steal from anyone. Kotoheim looked around as they spotted more cages not far away. What about them? Naruto made a point to make a fresh batch of hardened clones while his base clones interviewed the captured people and sorted them by where they wanted to go. Same treatment as usual. Some will stay, and some will go with me. Yugo looked around slowly and saw that everything was well at hand. This is the last camp, correct? What's the plan from here? Naruto had his hands on his hips. From here we'll head back to the Fuma clan to drop off Kotoheim and Sasami. Then we'll be back in spring, where I'll introduce you to everyone. Kotoheim pouted. I thought I'd be going with you, my lord. Naruto twitched. Maybe soon, but I have some work to dash. Kotoheim was suddenly very much in his personal space. I'm sure we can work something out. I have a variety of uses that would be good to have around. Sasami scoffed from his other side. I'm pretty sure Lord Naruto doesn't need a bag of holes like you around him. Kotoheim bristled and turned to the younger girl. Say that again. Naruto held up his hands. How about not? Kotoheim, I can tell you're serious about this, so you can come along. But you realize once you do, you'll be sworn to secrecy about where you go and who you meet. It is that serious around me. He paused to lock eyes with the older girl. You may not be coming home for a long while. Kotoheim bowed deeply. Your worries are my worries, your journey is my journey, my lord. Naruto sighed and nodded as a clone eventually brought him the medium-sized storage scroll and saluted. All cleaned out and all of the prisoners have been evacuated. Most wanted to stay in Rice, while the rest spread themselves evenly between home and spring. Seeing the original Naruto nod, the clone dispelled. Naruto himself turned to the group with a shrug and motioned back towards the trees. Well, let's get a move on. First stop is Fuma home base, and then from there I'll take you two to meet the rest of my group. Yugo tilted his head as they began tree-hopping away. Does your group have a name? Naruto shook his head. Haven't thought about one actually. Kotoheim saw a chance and rocked with it. Well, you said you're rebuilding your clan, correct? Naruto nodded as they bounced from tree limb to tree limb. Uzumaki, correct? She thought about that. Something island-based for sure. Had to be deadly. What about Riptide? Yugo chimes in. That seems feature-dependent though. What about Undertow? Naruto tunes them out as Sasami moves up beside him. You've done a lot for my country in such a short time. Thank you. Naruto nods. Now it's up to you. Treat the people well and show that the Fuma can be trusted again. It would be half a day at least back to meet up with Hanzaki, and honestly, Naruto was ready to be back in spring. There was still so much work to do. Scene change. True to his predictions, not even a full day of travel found Naruto and his temporary group standing before a shocked-looking Hanzaki. Handing over his scroll of pilfered goods, Naruto just smirks and crosses his arms. I work fast when I want. I can see that. Surely you haven't made that much progress. Sasami steps forward with a smile, hands laced behind her back. Actually, we pretty much wiped out every rogue bandit and gang in the country for now. Made the Fuma clan's job a whole lot easier. Kotoheim nodded from her spot on Naruto's left. He is very powerful. The Fuma clan should have no problem keeping the peace on their own. Though allies wouldn't hurt. Though she was planning on leaving, she would still give her opinion on the matter. Allies, huh? And with whom would we ally with? Hanzaki could face the fact that this kid had the power to back up his boasting. That was worth an alliance all on its own. Well, officially you'll be an ally with Spring. Secretly, it'll be me. Yuzu is more of a shadow country at the moment until reconstruction is finished. Naruto reminded himself again that he needed to get around to checking in with Tazuna. Hanzaki doesn't waste much time thinking about it. This young man was good on his word, and so he would be as well. Then an alliance is easy to agree on. I'll send someone with word to our daimyo, and we'll make preparations. Is there anything you need for now? Now we're good. Oh, here. Naruto unsealed a single Hiraishin tag and handed it to the man. Place that somewhere safe and protected. It's my secret way to come and go between countries. Naruto waited for Hanzaki to take the tag from him before continuing. After you place it, if you put a little chakra into it, it'll call me. If I'm not already in the middle of an emergency, I'll make my way as fast as I can. Worst case, I'll send a clone to see how bad it is before I come. Hanzaki held the tag and realized just how important something like this would be. With a nod, he places it away in a pocket. I'll place it somewhere safe. Cool, then that's it. Time to move on then. Turning and nodding to Yugo, Naruto had almost gotten away before a smiling Kotoheim latches onto him. You're not forgetting someone, are you? Hanzaki himself sighed, already on the move then? I made myself clear, didn't I? Hanzaki just nods and thumps his chest once. You'll always be a Fuma. Make sure to visit from time to time. Turning to look at Naruto, Hanzaki shrugs as he knows he can't stop the woman. Take good care of her. Will do. Grabbing hold of Yugo and Kotoheim, they were soon gone in a flash. Sasami sighed and turns to go inside. I think I've had too many once-in-a-lifetime events in the last week. I'm going to sleep. Hanzaki chuckles. It can't have been that he can make enough clones to take over a country. You can't rationalize that. Huh. Hanzaki considered that hopefully they made the right call allying themselves with that kind of force. He'd rather not be ground into dust under those kinds of numbers. To the north and being deposited in a finely furnished sitting room, Yugo and Kotoheim had a moment to wonder where they were before Naruto is grinning and motioning around them. Welcome to spring and specifically, the daimyo's mansion. Currently there was only Hinata looking at them all with a wide-eyed expression while at the main table. Ceiling scrolls and notes are strewn everywhere. Welcome back, Naruto. What's this? She was curious, but not worried at all. She already had an idea of what might have happened. Naruto motioned to the two with him. I rescued Yugo from the northern base. He's a good guy, quiet, likes nature. Super strong. And you remember Kotoheim, she wanted to come along, you know why. Sure enough, Hinata just shrugged and nodded, having a feeling already. Standing, the girl walked forward and hugged the boy tightly. Missed you. It's only been a few days. Leaning down, he kissed the girl lightly and moved away with a blush. Hinata was smiling as she returned to the table. Days or months, any time away from you makes me lonely. Are you going to visit everyone else? Yeah, figured I would check in before seeing if Koyuki has any other missions. Maybe finally check in with Tazuna. Hinata nods. Okay, just make sure to check in with everyone, okay? I'm sure they'd all like to see you. Naruto, however, gets curious about what the pale-eyed girl is working on. Walking over, he looks over her shoulder while Yugo and Kotoheim are looking around the room a bit. What's this? I had an idea about the chakra sensors you made. Was curious if maybe we could extend the range to detect flying adversaries as well. Huh, that would probably help for Yuzu, since there are only a few ways to get there. That was my thought. Naruto nods and squeezes her shoulder once. Good thinking. I'll leave you to it. Don't burn yourself out. I won't. Turning away, Naruto motions for Yugo and Kotoheim to follow him out and down the hall. Kotoheim leans forward to address him. I'm assuming she's very important to you? She was not going to consider anyone she met as competition. She was more of the mindset of, the more the merrier. Everyone you're about to meet is very important to me. You'll see. Not feeling anyone inside the mansion, his next stop was around the back of the mansion, where a sweaty Ino was training with a brown Oni mask on her face. However, as Naruto and the others got close, she turned and lifted the mask to her head and exposing her features. Naruto. Smiling brightly, the platinum blonde got a running start before jumping into his arms. Kissing him hotly, she eventually pulled away with a blush. Welcome back. Laughing, the boy held her by her waist for a moment before letting her down. I'm home. I see you're working with your chosen mask. How is it? My earth control is nearly perfect with it, but my chakra reserves need some work, so I'm training with it every day. Grinning and flexing a bit, she smirked as she watched Naruto's eyes roam over her form. I've also noticed that my mind walk jutsu is a little better with it on as well. Huh, that's a surprise. Yeah, but I'm going to keep working at it. I'm assuming you're checking in with everyone? Seeing him nod, the girl bounced and turned to get back to work. Make sure to get your letters to Hinata, she's making a new batch to send out soon. Oh yeah, I'll get on that. Leaning over and finally noticing the pair watching them quietly. While the boy was taking notes in a small notebook and muttering about someone being a love master, Ino nudged Naruto. Who's this? Sorry. These are Yugo and Kotoheim. Kotoheim is from the Fuma clan. We rescued her from the sound base in Rice. Yugo I rescued from the northern sound base. They both decided to join me on my quest. Ino gave them both a appreciating once-over before sighing and nodding, I get it. We'll all have to have a sit-down later. Of course. We have stuff to talk about as a group after all. Leaning in to hug the girl again, Naruto was all smiles as he pulls away. Who else is out here with you? Karen isn't far, just around the corner I think. Tayuya is a bit away, said her jutsu was a little too destructive to use close to the mansion. Ino herself was already getting back into her own training mentality. Got it, we'll move on then. Waving goodbye, the trio moved on down the path that led around the mansion. Yugo leaned forward now. You really are a man of many talents, my lord. I will do my best to learn all I can from you. Stick around, you'll learn a lot. Like how to be a friend, hopefully. Naruto however spotted the shorter red head he was looking for. Kamenu mask firmly in place, and several earth golems seeming to aimlessly walk around her and perform basic tasks. Though as the group walked up, all dozen of them turned to look at Naruto silently. Well, that's not creepy. Karen laughs though she doesn't remove her mask. Just wait till I've got this down a bit better. Myself and the Koyuki have been talking about using this in conjunction with the snow ninja armor and well. The ideas we have right now would make for great village defenders. I wouldn't try sending them out on missions of course. But as like an automated defense or even a policing force? That would help with keeping the civilians in line as well if you can finish your training. Karen is grinning behind the mask, and Koyuki showed me the designs for that blimp they had hidden away. I'm going to be busy for a while. Well, don't burn yourself out, okay, we have time. I know that. Now who's the bruiser? I know the Fuma chick. Karen vaguely remembered the flirtatious busty girl. Another boob monster to add to the group. Yay. This is Yugo, he's calling himself my retainer after I saved him from the northern base. Oh, another Orochimaru find, huh? Another? Yugo chimed in this time, curious about how Karen worded that. Oh yeah, myself and Tayuya are from the sound as well. And we're happy to never be going back as well. Ah, I see. I do not wish to leave Lord Naruto's side as well. Karen considered that. Yugo was taking the retainer role serious it seemed. Stick around, you'll learn a lot about us. Here she turned to Kotoheim, us girls will have a talk later. Kotoheim bowed lightly, I would expect nothing less. Naruto had walked up, poking one of the squat golem in the midsection. They were like chubby earthen dolls, with glowing blue eyes. I never would have thought to combine golem with the chakra armor. Karen just snorts, that's why I'm around. I'm the actual brains, while you get to be explosion murder boy. Giggling as she pushes him lightly, she motions to the woods not far away. Tayuya is that way. You should go see her. Naruto just salutes, on it. Once again starting down the path, now away from the mansion, Yugo and Kotoheim follow along. Naruto however, thinks it over and makes a single clone while turning to walk backwards and talk to the duo. Actually you both should head back inside. Follow my clone to go see Koyuki. Tayuya can be touchy with strangers. Yugo again had his notebook out. Lord Naruto learns and memorizes important details about his women. That felt important to remember. Kotoheim had the urge to smack the larger boy but held it in, just nodding and tugging on Yugo's sleeve to steer him back towards the mansion so they could follow the clone. As you wish. We'll be waiting for you. Naruto grins, thanks Kotoheim, I'll see you soon. Watching both of his newest comrades walk away, Naruto eventually turns and makes his way further into the woods. He wondered just what Tayuya would have to be training with that would take her this far out from everyone else. He got his answer pretty soon however, as he felt something approach him quickly. The chakra at least felt like Tayuya's, so he stopped where he was and waited. From the tree cover burst three large demon-looking entities. To him at least they weren't alive, but they weren't completely fake. Something to do with Tayuya's jutsu then. He could just barely make out what sounded like a jaunty melody from a flute before the song ended. At its end, the three beasts were gone as well. Naruto continues to wait and is soon rewarded with Tayuya herself dropping from the trees to stand in front of him. New seal active, it isn't too far off from her previous curse seal. Skin now a dark brown with black eyes and gold pupils, her muscle definition has also increased. More so, her previous crown of horns has thinned only slightly, becoming more regal in appearance. Naruto, however, is left only a little speechless while Tayuya doesn't catch on right away. Hey Whiskers, though I felt some weird chakra nearby, was that all you? Tayuya had a red Hanya mask on, though now was pushing it up and over her horns to address Naruto properly. Eyes wide, she worried if he was working himself too hard, he seemed flush. Naruto had to take a minute to clear himself of dirty thoughts. I'm back. Just wanted to check in and see how you were doing. How's the seal? Yes, right. He was here to check in with his friends and family. Not ogled a very hot Tayuya who was now slightly taller than him and looked capable of crushing boulders barehanded. It's great. It's like flipping a switch with how easy it is to use it. No mental feedback or whispers from Orochimaru. My Doki have never responded so well. And the Hanya mask, with its jutsu negation and chakra control circuits, it makes everything I do an even greater force to fight against. Tayuya gushed a bit over what Naruto had done for her. The power to pull natural energy from anywhere and not be hit with emotional backlash? She'd give anything to keep this up. Naruto coughed into his hand and nodded. Well, I'm glad it's all working out. Chakra drain from the mask isn't an issue? Nope. Guess that's probably because it's easier for us Uzumaki, huh? Shifting her weight to one hip while stowing her flute away, she watched Naruto's gaze flow over her for a moment before locking back onto her eyes. Oh ho. So he liked her curse form. Wonderful. Naruto, however, decided to answer one of her earlier questions. Oh. The other chakra signatures you felt? I rescued another sound prisoner, Yugo, and Kodoheim decided to join us from the Fuma clan, remember her? Tayuya, however, was focusing on what was important to her. Yeah, we'll get them in a moment, I remember Yugo. Say. Whiskers. Tayuya had walked up to the boy and got well within his personal space. What do you think of my curse form? There's no truth seal here, Tayuya. And yet, I'm still asking. While her own assets were rather modest, the curse seal did a good job of enhancing everything she had, so how about it? It's just us out here, what do you think? Naruto knew he couldn't run away. And this was one of his precious people. Relenting and pulling the currently dark-skinned girl into him, Naruto smiled. If I wasn't worried about someone finding us, I might start working on bringing back the Uzumaki clan. Pulling the girl into a quick but very hot kiss, Naruto pulled back with a smile. Answer your question? Tayuya nodded, though she was suddenly very hot and bothered. Sure thing, hot stuff. Just don't do that too often. You'll knock me up before anyone else. Winking, she let her love pull away from her. The problem with this form was that everything within nature resonated with her. That included the instinctual urge to mate with the strongest candidate present. That was absolutely Naruto at the moment. Holding that back took a lot of work. She did want to continue training after this and didn't want to switch forms. She does, however, bring something up. You didn't flinch at all when my Doki confronted you. Why? Naruto shrugged. Easier to focus when they were talking about jutsu. I felt your chakra controlling them, so I had no reason to fear. I trust you. Completely. Tayuya flushed and smiled, because of course this muscle head would say the absolutely best thing in the moment. I know you trust me. Thank you. She holds up her flute, studying it as she thinking about what she wants to say. There's no one around them for a long while it seems. They were in their own bubble, so she could be a bit more open about herself. Music has been my focus for a long time. It's gotten me through a lot of hard times. From the torture and training, to the lonely nights and abuse. But you. Because of you, I finally have a new song in my heart. She leans in, kissing the boy once more lightly before pulling away. I hope, soon, you'll get to hear it. Naruto grins, scratching the back of his head. I'll be ready to listen, whenever you're ready. Tayuya turns away, looking over her shoulder at him. I know you will. I trust you, because you trust me. Get going, I'll catch up with you later, once I think I'm good enough with my training. I'm ready to start laying the hurt on Orochimaru as soon as I can. Naruto nods, turning away and getting ready to head back to the mansion. For what it's worth, I'll say it out loud, you're pretty hot with that seal active. Tayuya smirks, striking a pose while lifting her shirt a bit to expose a lot of skin. Just you wait. You'll get to see just what this form can do. Without another word, Tayuya jumped away, flute back in her hand. Naruto himself beat a hasty retreat back towards the mansion. He knew that if he stayed in those woods any longer, neither of them would be willing to wait for anything after that. So, focus. Don't worry about long-haired redheads with great bodies or sharp tongues. Kurama decided to speak up. Between her and the Hyuga, my bet is on the Uzumaki jumping you first. Naruto groaned as they walked along. We have feelings too, you know. It isn't just about sex. Kurama chuckled. Yes, your mother said much the same thing. And then she met your father. Why, I remember when Naruto was immediately hit with the urge to never hear the Bija speak ever again. La 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 la, I can't fucking hear you. Nope, no understand the words coming from your mouth. Demons can be seen, not heard. Kurama began to laugh uproariously. Come now. You know your parents made it at least once to make you. What is there to feel shame about? Naruto shook his head as he made his way inside the mansion eventually. Yeah, exactly. I know my parents did it, once. And then they made me. I don't need details, descriptions. Nothing. Once was enough. Oh, just you wait, boy. Once is never enough. La 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 la, I can't fucking hear you, you ageless bastard. Feeling the old chakra construct fade into the background of his mind while laughing its metaphorical ass off, Naruto was glad he didn't have a mental image of his mother fresh in his brain. That would have been traumatizing. For now, he focused on finishing his trek to Koyuki's office and hopefully where Kotoheim and Yugo were. His clone hadn't popped like normal. Odd that. It wasn't long before Naruto found himself in Karuki's office. Yugo and Kotoheim were standing before her desk, Kotoheim chatting with her amicably while Yugo was standing at attention and waiting. However, his clone was behind her and giving her a back rub. He just knew those memories about her movie set weren't a dream. Hey Koyuki. I see you've met my 2 new additions. So do you have anything new for me? Koyuki hummed and leaned into the clone's touch. Oh Suyer. Give me a clone and nothing personal yourself. Isa feel loved. I'm just the daimyo of my country, who has feelings for you. Nothing serious or any Koyuki was eventually silenced as Naruto himself had gotten the message and walked forward around her desk. Tilting her head up back a finger to her chin, Naruto leaned down and kissed the girl fully on the lips. Ignoring the rest of the world for a moment, the two parted with panting gasps that left Koyuki's mind fuzzy and Naruto slowly returning to the other side of the desk. You know I wouldn't forget you like that. Uh-huh. Right. Yeah. The clone addressed his boss. She'll be in La La Land soon if you don't get to the point. Somehow Naruto felt like he should know more than his clones did, but he chalked it up to his subconscious being weird. So has Spring received any new missions? Koyuki nodded and rooted around for a scroll in her desk. I need you, Dada. No wait. She paused as she thought about what she was going to say. Yugo however had his notebook back out. Lord Naruto is a master of diffusing his wife's tantrums. Kotoheim nodded along in agreement this time, apparently so. Her own mind going to how he could diffuse certain situations in the future. Really, you too? Naruto shook his head and eventually snapped his fingers. Hello? Koyuki. Missions? That worked for Koyuki, snapping out of it and finding the scroll she was looking for. Right. I've had some contact with the daimyo of Hot Spring. I have a proposition for them and they are open to it. However, they wish to meet with you. The Shadow Kage as it is. Koyuki held out a scroll, which Naruto took and sealed away on his person. You'll have to meet the daimyo at his palace. He's expressly mentioned that you'll need to walk for the last leg of your journey and to keep your Onaman mask on. That's how they'll know it's you. Naruto nods and salutes. Got it, Onaman and walking. We can do that. Turning back to the others, Naruto first looks at Yugo. I think it might be a good idea for you to stay. Spring is pretty peaceful, and that is what you were looking for. Yugo shook his head quickly. I am your shield. I go where you go. Kotoheim cut Naruto off before he could even say anything. I'm with you. You know that. Naruto turned back to Koyuki and saluted. Guess we're set then. I'll be back soon, hopefully within a day or so. Koyuki nods. You better be. Take a break when you get back. I'm sure you'll have time to check in with Yuzu and with everyone. We haven't had a bath night with you in a while. Naruto frowned. That sounds like you're still having them without me. Get your imagination running with that thought? Naruto couldn't say no to that. Sure, he may have been peak professionalism before she said anything. But after she mentioned it. You're all going to be responsible for my death. Koyuki waved with a smile. Most men and some women would be happy to go out that way. Now get going. The sooner you go, the sooner you return. Naruto grabbed hold of Yugo and a blushing Kotohime. Got it. See you soon. Then they were gone, Naruto flashing to a random tree within the hot spring forest. Kotohime recovered first. Just where are we? Naruto swept his arms wide. Welcome to Hot Spring Country. Home to literally hundreds of different hot springs, from those that re good for your health to those that help chakra recovery and some that help with more intimate matters. Kotohime suddenly had stars in her eyes. That fabled bust spring is here. Do we have time to find it? Naruto shook his head and he motioned for the two to follow him. Not today. But I'll promise that we'll all find time to explore to our heart's content later, okay? Kotohime smiles, though she is disappointing. As long as we do come back, I'm okay with it. Everyone making their way back to ground level and finding the main road, Naruto dons his mask and smirks behind it. We're actually pretty close already to the daimyo's palace. Here, take these. Naruto unseals two masks. One is a specialized red hanya mask, while the other is a brown oni mask. Kotohime, the red hanya, is specialized towards jutsu negation and chakra control enhancement. It will however tax your chakra pretty hard if you get hit with something, so I'd suggest still dodging if you can. Here he handed the mask over to the astonished Kotohime before turning to Yugo. This is in mass production Uzumaki mask, the Oni mask, brown to be specific. Brown relates to earth chakra control, and I noticed you have an affinity for it. This'll increase your control tenfold and increase your normal strength by a good factor as well. Kotohime had donned her mask and took her position at Naruto's left shoulder. Thank you, my lord, I will use this gift with pride and honor. Yugo mirrored her own sentiments. I as well, will cherish this gift from you till the day I die. Thank you, sire. Donning the mask and taking position at Naruto's right shoulder, the three started down the road towards the daimyo's palace. Naruto had his hands behind his back. I'm pretty sure I asked for you both to be more informal with me. Kotohime shook her head. We're Undertow, the Yuzu elite guard, we could never. Yugo nodded. Our duty is to protect you and your family, my lord. Yugo was having fun with this, however. He knew Naruto wanted him to be more of a friend, but Yugo had this freedom to be a bit of a tease. He was taking it, for now. Maybe one day he'd have a chance to branch out himself. That girl Sasami seemed cute and had a beautiful shade of hair. Orange. Just like his. Naruto groaned and threw up his hands as a group of bandits entered the road ahead of them. Why do I even bother? Fine, do what you'd like. Yugo nodded, stepping forward and confronting the bandits. As you will, sire. The leader of the bandit group was smirking. There's a dozen of us here. Lay down your weapons, and will you go, boys, go with your lives. The woman stays with us. Yugo, however, is already upon them. There's nothing staying with you. Unleashing carnage upon them, Kotohime turns to Naruto to tune out the one-sided battle. My lord, you do plan on working towards rebuilding your clan, correct? Naruto nods slowly. Yeah. I just, hoped I had a year or two before figuring that out. Kotohime shook her head while a severed leg went flying in her peripheral vision. My lord, you never know what the new day might bring. It's best to get started early and leave instructions for if you pass. Maybe you will? Naruto was thinking that one over. Yes, he knew Kotohime had her own motives, though her reasoning wasn't wrong. Seeing Yugo finish and turn back to them, Naruto and Kotohime continued their walk. I'll start on a will. That's pretty important. As far as kids go, give me a little time. Kotohime nodded. You are a lord. You have all the time in the world. She meant it as well. Naruto was a man that would change anything to see his own vision come true. She gained confidence as well, because Naruto's vision seemed to align with normal everyday civilians as well as ninja. Which was a plus. Focusing on their trek, they made good time until they were coming close to the final approach of the palace. They could just see over the trees. However, another gang was laying in wait for them. This group, however, was mostly kids. Some older teenagers, sure, but they were all wet behind the ears kids. Sure, Naruto felt a certain way talking about kids close to his age as kids. It was, however, that he had been considered an adult since becoming a ninja, something these civilians couldn't claim. The leader was pointing a decent-sized knife at the group. Leave your money and go. Before I stick you like a pig. Naruto snorted at that. This kid could barely lift the knife as it was. Huh. Instead of sticking it to me, you could be focused on someone who actually wants your attentions? The taller boys grunted. That's not what I meant, you perv. Naruto chuckled. Well, that's too bad. Filling the road with a minor number of clones who all took hostages, Naruto was smirking as the leader was looking around with a fearful look. Look, I'm in a hurry. Why don't you get on your way, and we'll all forget this? Thinking that him and his crew had no way of fighting a ninja, the boy nodded, sure. We'll leave you alone. Naruto frowned finally, wanting to impart a though, as he motioned for the clones to let everyone go. Look, maybe, I don't know. Find a different way to improve your life. Eventually, you're going to run into someone not as nice as me, and then you're dead. Naruto's eyes flashed from behind his mask. There's no coming back from dead, you know? The boy nodded, and he and his crew rushed back into the underbrush. Whatever, man. We'll let you go this time. Then they were gone, leaving Naruto, Yugo, and Kotohime giving bemused looks to the bush cover. Yugo grunted, trash, can't help but be trash. Naruto shrugged as they got to walking again. I don't know. I used to be trash like that. Yugo shook his head, doubtful. What I mean when I call someone trash is that they refuse to better themselves by their own merit. Weak, but blame everyone else for why they are weak, instead of doing something about it. Those kids? Trash, because they would rather steal than work hard. Naruto remembered some cold nights along in the Leaf Village. Dumpster diving, scrounging for food and warmth. Willing to do almost anything to get away from that life. Maybe. I think they're the type of kids we want to help. That's why I spared them. Even here, in a country that prides itself on neutrality and tourist attractions, there is strife. Those kids are going the route they think they have to, because the system around them shows that's all they have. Kotohime could see where Naruto was coming from, so you let them live, to show them that not everything has to be life or death? Something like that. Plus, no point in killing non-ninja kids. What threat are they? Kotohime smiles behind her mask, a very wise decision, my lord. Yugo himself nods along. I would not have considered that. Indeed, a wise decision. Naruto himself sighed and settled in for a long walk. Come on, we have a ways to go. Naruto admitted to Yugo eventually that he wanted to travel faster to the daimyo mansion faster, but they had been advised that they should take it slow through Hot Spring. Naruto wasn't one to ignore Koyaki's advice, and so they were walking. Thankfully, they actually weren't that far from their destination, and as the sun began to set they were escorted under guard to the daimyo himself. The daimyo himself wanted to model himself after the image he wanted to create for his country. To that effect, he was a portly man with an easy smile and a joyful yet peaceful demeanor. That said, he was wary of meeting with ninja even if he had gotten assurances from the new spring daimyo. Sure, the Onaman mask was the marker she had given, but who was for sure that this was who they were looking for? But he put on a smile and welcomed the three into his office regardless, several samurai in attendance, just in case. Welcome. My name is Taida, and I believe you have a letter for me? The spring daimyo mentioned that they wish to enter into a tentative agreement for goods transportation via train rail? Naruto nods, not making a move to move forward or mold chakra. Instead, pulling the scroll from a pocket and holding it up in plain view. A samurai guard walks forward to take it from him before checking it over and eventually handing it to the daimyo. Spring has made a lot of advances in technology not involving chakra. They want to revolutionize the world and want to bring everyone they can along for the ride. Naruto was in full shadow leader mode and thankfully Yugo and Kotohime picked up on that, not saying a word themselves. Taida eventually was given the scroll and opened it to read its contents. Seeing that everything was in order just as the letter from the spring daimyo said, the older man smiled thinly. Moving people and goods rapidly would be a boon for Hot Spring. This is something that we would love unconditionally. Taida was lying, of course, but he knew better. Ninja were not to be trusted. Best to lie and get them out the door as quickly as possible. Naruto, however, just sighed, mask telling him Taida's own thoughts as if the older man had said them aloud. Yeah, see, lying isn't necessary. If you don't feel comfortable about the alliance, you can say so. Spring is willing to work with any country it wishes to forge a bond with. That also includes leaving countries alone that wish to be alone. Taida's eyebrows raised quickly. For such a young ninja to see through his lie was interesting. You are well informed. You must understand, however, that I do not wish for my country to be brought into another war. Upsetting the political balance like this could do just that. Naruto nods, having thought of that himself. Lightning and Earth would stand to lose a lot if goods become more accessible to the smaller countries. Even the Leaf would suffer a bit. Wind would actually benefit, not having great agricultural or seafaring villages itself. I get it. This is, however, completely voluntary. Spring is not looking for war, but the future is uncertain. We will of course defend anyone within our group from outsiders, along with providing our services. Anyone protected by the Uzumaki were going to be considered VIPs as far as Naruto was concerned. He'd level lightning if they so much as breathed wrong in Hot Spring's direction. Taida himself thinks about that. No repercussions if we decide not to agree to this? Naruto nods, none at all. We wish to be friends, not tyrants. I see. Taida took a minute to think about that. Usually newer daimyos or villages were so heavy-handed. That Spring was taking a soft approach spoke of either experience or more likely, hidden strength. I will say, we can talk slowly about an alliance. I like the idea of a railway for not just supplies, but for people, tourist, specifically. Our economy pretty much runs completely on tourism, civilian and ninja. Taida motioned out a window to the roads below. The roads can be treacherous. Of course, but Spring is doing its best to develop new technology for everyone. You won't be disappointed with an alliance. Naruto watches as the daimyo pulls a scroll from his robes and holds it out for a samurai to bring to Naruto. This is for your daimyo. Take it, and let them know we will begin more formal talks for an alliance. This railway they wish to build will take time, I'm sure. But if they are willing to fund it completely as they said, then we will support it in the end. Good day to you. Naruto bows as he accepts the scroll and seals it away. Good day to you as well. Naruto, Yugo, and Kotoheim bow silently from there and accept being escorted out. Taida, however, looks over to his advisor, who had been hidden behind a wall curtain the entire time. That ninja was very perceptive. The nameless advisor nods. That was the Maelstrom, sir. An S-rank ninja of some renown. Maelstrom, huh? Taida shakes his head as he turns away to walk back to his desk. We should make an entry ourselves. Something more grand. Say. The one who sees the truth. He saw through me so easily after all. It will be done, my lord. See that it is. Outside, Naruto and his group barely made it to the base of the steps before Naruto grabbed Yugo and Kotoheim and flashed away. Hot Spring was nice, but Naruto truly did want to relax sooner rather than later. He could only do that in spring, and Koyuki had only told him to approach the Hot Spring daimyo at a snail's pace, not leave. Dropping everyone within the spring mansion, Naruto ripped his mask off with a smile. Okay, that it. Time to relax a bit and treat ourselves. Yugo took his own mask off and looked around. Would I be allowed to explore a bit? Maybe look around the woods? Naruto nods, go for it. There will be either one of my clones or a snow ninja looming not far away able to direct you to a room later, okay? Yugo nods, then by your leave. Seeing Naruto wave him off again, Yugo left the main sitting room, determined to find his way outside. Kotoheim however shrugged as she had a different plan in mind. Do you have other work to perform? Hey, own mask was off and handed back to Naruto, who sealed it away. Not at the moment. Just gonna drop this scroll off with Koyuki, and then take a bath and relax. That sounds wonderful, perhaps I will join you. Maybe. Walking into the sitting room, alerted by Naruto's chakra usage, a taller snow ninja soon stood before the blonde. Sir, welcome back. Naruto focused on the ninja. What's up? Koyuki need me? No, sir. This is actually about that ninja you captured. We've made a list of the seals placed on them for your review. The ninja was holding out a scroll for Naruto to take, which Naruto did so while handing his own scroll from the Hot Spring daimyo to the ninja. Make sure that gets to Koyuki, will ya? I'm gonna be busy. Naruto's mind was already fully into what he was reading. So a silencing seal on the tongue, loyalty seal and a locating seal at the base of the neck. A fertility seal on her lower abdominal and a combo conditioning and paralysis seal on the lower back. Wonderful. This had Black Ops written all over it. Had to be Danzo. Naruto created a clone and looked at it fully. Can you go and find Ino? The clone gave a grin and saluted, on it boss. Then it was gone down the halls while Naruto walked towards the basement with Kotoheim following behind him. What's this about a captured ninja? Naruto suddenly remembered that Kotoheim had no clue what was going on. So, someone sent a ninja to come find me and either bed me or bend me to their will. We spotted the ruse almost right away, but we were able to figure out who forced them to come. So I'm going to remove their seals and hopefully piece together just what happened and who they are. Kotoheim held a hand to her chest in surprise. You have that ability? Naruto nods. Seals are amazing. For the two ninja, it doesn't take long to find their way into the lower levels of the mansion. Soon they were in the dark basement levels, and Naruto was pushing open a door that had a snow ninja guard. Inside the room, however, things changed almost right away. Not a dank cell like he thought, instead the room looks more hospital room than it did prison cell. The bed was Spartan and there was a curtain that hung from the ceiling to provide privacy, though at the moment it was open. Naruto however noted the hospital gown that the girl, Kyoheim, had been changed into, though the paper seal he placed on her forehead was still present. Well, before I wake her, I should get to removing the seals placed on her. Unsealing his equipment on a provided table, he misses the odd look on Kotoheim's face. She looks familiar. Naruto does take her seriously at that. How so? Kotoheim shakes her head. Her hair is longer, a little more wild. Her features are also a bit softer, but she looks remarkably like my younger sister. Naruto nods at that. Well, at the moment she probably doesn't have much of a memory after the conditioning seal was placed on her. Let's get that off and work from there. If she does end up being your sister, I'm sure you both will have a lot to talk about. Slowly rolling the girl onto her back, Naruto opens her gown and begins to work on removing all of the seals here, small though they are. Behind them, both Ino walks in accompanied by a clone. Hey Whiskers, what's the word? Naruto himself grinned as the clone he sent dispelled itself. Wanted to see if you could do a mind walk session with this girl once I remove her seals and wake her up. You up for that? Ino nods and leans against the wall to wait. Sure thing. It'll be good practice and a brush up on my skills. She looks over to Kotoheim. Welcome back. Thank you. It's nice to be here. Tell me, you seem to be in the know about what is going on. Ino grins slyly but shakes her head. I am, but we're gonna have a girls' night soon. We all hit the baths when everyone is present together. Since you'll all be here instead of floating around tea, we're going to have one tonight and tomorrow. Ino then turned to Naruto. Hear that, fox boy? Naruto nods as he's turned Kyoheim over and removed the last seal on her tongue. I got it. I know better than to try and run away. Though really he shouldn't try. Taking an open-air bath with a group of beautiful women? Why pass that up? Finishing his work after a few minutes and sealing his tools away, he turned to look at Ino. Though you might have some work tonight, you ready? Ino nods, of course. Naruto removes the seal from Kyoheim's forehead and waits. It takes a moment for the girl to begin to regain consciousness, groaning and shifting her body little by little. However, after a few minutes, her eyes open, though almost immediately tears begin to flow, much to Naruto's worry. Ah, are you in pain at all? I'm sorry. No. No pain. Much more emotion now. The girl before them was completely different from who they had met at first. I remember almost everything from when I was captured. The torture, the conditioning. Naruto held up a hand. You don't have to continue. If it was who I think it is, I have ideas. Naruto paused as he watched the girl quietly for a minute, giving her a little time to adjust to being herself again. Do you remember who you were? Bits. Pieces. Like a dream I just woke from. Finally tearing her gaze from the ceiling to look at the other occupants of the room, her eyes latched onto Kotoheim. See, sister? It is you. Kin. How did this happen? Tears were coming to Kotoheim's eyes now as she rocketed forward to hug the tired-looking girl. This was the sister she thought had been killed in Orochimaru's failed invasion. Here she was, alive, though somewhat broken. You're alive? Kin nodded. I am. My memory isn't perfect. But I remember you. I remember our clan's desperation. I remember being used as a sacrifice to further Orochimaru's goals. Here the tears and anguish grew stronger. I remember the regret when I realized our clan would get nothing with my death and wishing I could take it all back. Kotoheim pulled away slightly but stayed with arm's reach. Naruto, however, turns to Ino. I'm going to leave them be, but please stay, help however you can. Ino smiles and answers him quietly, of course. I'll be here. Kin however noticed him leaving. Wait. Seeing him pause and turn back, she shakes her head and tries to clean her tears. Danzo sent me. Naruto nodded, suspicion confirmed. Don't worry about that for now. You focus on catching up with your sister and resting. We can figure things out tomorrow. Ino is a mind walker, she should be able to help you regain your full memories. Kin nods with a weak smile, thank you. Naruto, however, was already out the door and walking down the hall. So this was Danzo's plan, huh? Well then. Maybe the leaf needed another visit from him soon. Omake Itachi was not one to give in to boredom. He was a ninja of immense skill and experience. Long road travel could be a delight in a variety of ways. From people watching to nature watching to even mentally working through theoretical problems in his head. Itachi was not one to get bored easily. The same, however, could not be said for his partner as they walked along the border of the land of rivers and the land of fire. Kisame was nearly always bored and what was more, made it everyone else's problem. If he wasn't fighting, or eating, or playing with his sword, Kisame was liable to make up his own fun. Most of that included murder in some way, but Itachi could at least funnel that energy into useful bounties. Ninja had to eat after all. Today, however, Kisame was taking up a new pastime. Something that almost immediately set Itachi on edge and wishing he could send the taller ninja into its Tsukuyumi for the next year straight. Because what had Kisame decided to focus himself on? Stupid questions made my hormonal children. Come on, Itachi. This is an easy one, fuck, marry, kill. Tsunade the legendary sucker, because we know why they really call her the legendary. Konan the angel of rain, because she sure can make it wet like rain. And the actress Yuki Fujikaze, cause I'm sure she'd be down to play out any role you'd give her. Kisame had his answer right away, but he was curious what Itachi might say. Plus he was bored. They didn't have a real goal at the moment until the Nine-Tails showed up and it had been months since the last sighting. This is beneath us. Itachi was more bored of the question. As it had been asked about a dozen times already, with different people. There was nothing productive about this. It's to pass the time. My man, do you want me to rip apart the next person I see on this road? You know what I'm like when I'm bored. Itachi did in fact know what Kisame was like. Fine. It wasn't like he had to think hard about his answer. In order of fuck, marry, kill. Yuki, Konan, Tsunade. What? You'd kill the legendary K-Cup herself? Miss 106 centimeters? How could you? It was blasphemy of the highest order. At least have her on the fuck mention. The other two were children compared to Tsunade. Itachi sighed, there is more to a woman besides her breasts. Sure yeah, but this is Tsunade. Kisame made exaggerated hand motions around his own chest, how can you pass that up? Because I want a woman of substance? Substance? You want twigs. Maybe we should ship you off with Orochimaru, he seems to share those particular tastes. Kisame wouldn't come out and say the snake summoner was a pedo. But he could say confidently he had never seen the man court any women, ever. He did, however, seem really interested in young men. He didn't judge, if men were your thing, go for it. Just stay away from his own holes, thank you. Itachi sighed, you wouldn't know good quality if it landed in your lap. Says you. How do you like those bruises from smashing your hips into pelvic bones? I need a woman. Capital W, full-bodied and a little extra. It might be a fight between Mei or Tsunade who he was attracted more to, but the mental image of that was going to keep him up tonight now. Tsunade and Mei, sweaty, fighting. Oh yeah. Itachi could already see this was going off the rails, you're a mess. Says the guy who tortured his little brother. Which, by the way, wasn't necessary at all. It was motivational. What's motivational about forcing a child to relieve you killing his entire family over and over? It's an Uchiha thing, you wouldn't get it. You Uchiha are fucking weird. We just have different tastes and traditions. Trash tastes from the sound of it. I'm not going to argue with the embodiment of human sushi. You take that back. More bickering and arguing commenced. At least Kisame wasn't bored now. Chapter 27. Settling into a routine again, Naruto decided that some time off would be good to alternate relaxation and training over the next few weeks. That found him today out on the fields near the cliffside behind the mansion, field full of clones working through nature chakra manipulation, while several at the cliff's edge were practicing throwing the Rasengan further and further distances. His idea about the chakra thread finally starting to pay off. Now he would just need to work on adding wind chakra to it. Slow going, but he knew it would happen. He himself is sitting and ready through a scroll, covering some of the more esoteric seals the Uzumaki had to offer. Some of the barriers and time-space methods they had developed were crazy complicated. One of these, however, was giving him ideas. But it required a super heavy metal that was hot to the touch. Just where would he find something like that? Kurama gains his attention, mentally voicing a question: what are your plans with the other half of my chakra? Naruto shrugged: I want us to be balanced so that we can use everything we have freely. But I think it might be a good idea to go through sage training first, before attempting to reseal the other half of your chakra in me. Your father was a crafty one, he probably left instructions with those toads, just for this. You need a key to modify the seal after all. Yeah, I noticed that. I could probably make one, however, if I was pressed. Naruto had explored his own seal a bit, but if there was an easier option, he would take it. Focusing back on the scroll in front of him, he paused again as he remembered something he had been meaning to ask for a long time. Kurama, what's the real reason my eye turned purple? He just knew there was more to it. Mentally, Kurama laid down behind the bars of the seal and lazily moved his tails this way and that. Well, I may have played around with your blood a bit. What? That was new. Though at least the ancient being was admitting to it. What did you do? Keep in mind I was in a bit of a hurry. But well, I had the idea that your Uchiha friend was there and his blood was available. So I took some and molded it inside of you. Not much, but enough to maybe awaken an ancient eye in you. Which it did, even if it isn't fully complete yet. Okay, new rule, some heads up before modifying my body. I tell you I've given you an ancient nigh unbeatable dojutsu and you're worried about consent? Yes? Kurama grumbled, fair enough. The eye I gave you is called the Rinnegan. Known as the Eye of Six Paths. It is the eye of my creator. As such, it has many abilities and techniques allowed only to it. Didn't you say, however, it's not complete? Kurama nodded, correct. I think considering you've only used it once under great stress, there's something you still need. Maybe a chakra requirement or maybe just time. Try adding some chakra to it, maybe that'll help it along. Naruto sighed as he leaned back and looked up into the blue sky. Shouldn't you know what it takes? I'm a chakra construct that was never human, how the hell would I know? Naruto chuckled, okay, fair. He did, however, do as the Bija said, adding some real chakra to his eye and seeing if anything changed. Not feeling any different, he let the chakra level drop down to something he could maintain for a long period of time with a sigh. Like Kurama said, high stress got it going. So maybe there was some condition he was missing. Adding it to the list of things to worry about later, Naruto returned to his scroll study. From the direction of the mansion, Hinata is walking and waving to the blonde. Hair starting to grow out and jacket long gone, Hinata was enjoying a wardrobe change. Keeping her capri-length pants, but making them blue, while her sleeveless top was orange to match Naruto's own. In her hands was a basket, which she sat down between them as she sat down with the boy she loved. I figured you probably haven't eaten yet. Do you realize it's past lunchtime? Naruto shook his head, completely lost track of time. We can go eat inside if you like. Out here is fine. Leaning back and looking up into the sky, Hinata was content. Leaving with you was probably the best decision I made. I never thought I could have this kind of freedom in my life. I'm glad you came too. It wouldn't have been the same. Giggling, Hinata smiled and leaned into him. Of everything, however, I'm looking forward to fully being an Uzumaki. He knew her feelings, and she knew his. From there nothing else mattered to her. The rest of the world could fade away, as long as she had him by her side. Naruto, however, had a somewhat different view at the moment, you know. Out here, outside of Konoha, I mean, no one knows you aren't an Uzumaki. You could take the name now if you really wanted. Blushing and refusing to look at her, he's forced to anyway as the girl tackles him and straddles his hips. You mean it, Naruto? She watches as the boy nods slowly. Sitting up but not moving, Hinata thinks about it quietly. Hinata Uzumaki. Muttering it a few times, she eventually grins and nods. Then that's who I'll be, Hinata Uzumaki from this day forward. Leaning down, she lightly kisses the young man she's in love with. Feeling her pull away, Naruto lets her roll off of him and they set about eating lunch together. You know, the others are going to want to do the same. Hinata shrugged, that's mainly just Ino. Koyuki can't yet. And Tayuya and Karen are already Uzumaki. Kotoheim is new to the group and we haven't had our talk yet. So not yet for her. Naruto nods, knowing not to get involved with that. Okay. Well, you're out here, wanna train for a bit? It didn't take him long to finish off the food she had brought out for him. Sure thing. Hinata was soon up and bouncing lightly on her feet, Naruto slightly distracted but soon focusing and cleaning up their mess. Task done, he faced her with a grin. I'm taking you down today. Hinata smirked, something that would usually be at home on Naruto's face. Oh, you want me down, Naruto? Maybe on my knees? Caught flat-footed, the boy's eyes were wide. Wait he stumbled away from the glowing palm headed his way. No fair. Hinata laughed and continued her assault. You need to keep on your toes, beloved. Setting the pace, the girl spent the rest of the day training with her love. Naruto considered it more. Hinata spent the day beating his ass. Hinata would however giggle and claim it was training. Behind them, the clones continued their own self-imposed missions, the Rasengan beginning to fly further and faster towards the end of the day. At the end of which, tired and sore, Hinata had Naruto by the hand and was dragging him away. Naruto was dispelling clones a few at a time while laughing at the suddenly very insistent girl. What's the rush, Hinata? He just barely remembered to grab the picnic basket she had brought for lunch today. Hinata however was focused. It's been a long day, time for a bath. Is this one of our collective baths again? Hinata nods. Whenever we're all together, we should take a bath together. It's our bonding time. I'm guessing that's going to be our new family thing? Turning eerie eyes to the boy, she nods without saying a word. Naruto just holds up his hands and surrenders. Got it. Want me to send clones and round everyone up? No need, they know the schedule. Somehow Naruto knew he should have known better, but let himself be dragged along. Again, why would he complain about taking a bath with several beautiful women? Jiraiya would probably cry tears of blood or of frustration if he knew. Not even a full 20 minutes later, as the sun began to set, Naruto sat chest deep in the hot spring waters, soaking and enjoying the fatigue seeping from his muscles. Next to him Yugo was much the same, relaxing back with a heavy sigh and enjoying the natural feel of the outdoor bath. Both young men had towels covering their eyes, while around them the various women all chatted and gossiped back and forth. Neither is going to complain about the women telling them to join them or the introduction of alcohol and the quickly becoming rowdy group. Yugo relaxes further, sinking deeper into the hot waters. Like you said, my lord, this land is very peaceful. Everything I could ask for, really. Naruto nods, ignoring what sounded like a bath towel sailing over his head. If we weren't rebuilding Uzushio, I would happily stay here permanently. It's a nice place, way out of the way. Peaceful. Yugo hums, I'd like to see Yuzu one day, if possible. I want to go check up on things soon, maybe before the week is up. Wanna see if maybe Tazuna needs help again. All my clones are good for lots of things, construction included. Ino and Tayuya are wrestling while Karen cheers them both on. Come on. Do the Uzumaki name proud. Koyuki was cheering for Ino, face flushed from the heat. Don't bow down, Ino. You're an Uzumaki as well, aren't you? Cackling as Ino blushes but gains the upper hand, Tayuya resorts to the Yuzu seal. No fair. Ino calls out as she's slowly overpowered. Tayuya just smirks. No one said I couldn't use it. Groaning, however, she continues to forget Ino has an affinity for earth nature chakra, which she was now using to boost her strength. Shit. Ino is back to smirking. Hell yeah. She's back to slowly overpowering the taller girl. Hinata, however, is smiling and calling out to Naruto. Naruto. No work talk. We're having fun. Fun. Kotoheim slides up next to the pale-eyed girl. I'm sure we could convince Naruto how to have fun properly. She had no qualms about bathing naked in the group, even with Yugo here. Hugging the shorter girl and pressing their busts together, Kotoheim calls out to her lord, Naruto. Hinata and I have a proposal for you. Naruto waves her off. Somehow I get the feeling that's a danger flag, so I'm good. I'll take something to drink though. Oh poo, no fun. Karen, however, had swam around and handed Naruto a small bottle of sake, to which he thanked her. You know, you don't have to cover your eyes, we invited you. This is all family or friends. Naruto shakes his head while Karen offers a bottle to Yugo, who declines. Well, maybe later. Tayuya finally had Ino up and above her head, holding the struggling girl face up by her midsection. We could always set up a truth seal again. She wasn't ready for Ino to increase her weight by a chakra, you cow. Tayuya collapsed and Ino reversed their positions, riding on the older girl's back while pulling her arms. If Naruto had been looking, he might have commented that it did interesting things to Tayuya's chest. Who are you calling a cow? I'm not plump at all. Ino however did take a look down at herself, just in case, well, unless we're talking about those, I might be behind Hinata, but I'm not too shabby if I say so. Karen shook her head and went back to egging the two outspoken girls on. One of these days, they would finally have a distinct winner. Kotoheim, however, had floated over to Naruto, a thought in mind. My lord? Taking a sip, he turned to where he could hear Kotoheim. Yeah, what's up? I wanted to thank you. For everything. My clan, myself, my sister. You've done so much and it's a debt I'll never be able to repay. She was being honest here and everyone else was pausing and paying attention to the heartfelt moment. Naruto however, just waves her off. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. My goal is to save everyone I can. If you ever need me, I'll be there. Kotoheim nods, knowing by now that was just how he operated. It was the greatest reason why she had chosen to join him. He was a man truly of his word. Then, at least, I can do what I do. Reaching forward, she plucked his towel away from his eyes. Suddenly staring at the sky, Naruto panicked. Wait a minute! Vision suddenly full of a very naked and very well-equipped Kotoheim, she pulled him in for a very steamy kiss. This of course set off everyone else behind them. No fair. Big tit hussy. I'm next. Kotoheim just smirks and lets him go after a moment, letting him sink back into the water with a happy but dazed look. I'm yours, Lord Uzumaki, from now till forever. And then she's pulled away while laughing, Hinata and Ino trying to get in first while Karen grills the older girl for details and Tayuya tries and fails to look like she doesn't want to join in. Behind them all Koyuki is cackling. Yugo himself has scooted a safe distance away. Note to self, Master has a way of making his deeds seem effortless. This is an endearing quality. Ensure he doesn't overdo things in the future. Koyuki claps her hands to gain everyone's attention, possible saving Naruto from suffocation by a lip lock with Ino and Hinata. So there's been talk about forming a group name, something about Riptide? Yugo raises a hand, something we were thinking about while traveling through Rice. Karen thought about that one. What, something that could be like our Yuzu elite squad? Seeing Yugo and Kotoheim nod, Karen liked the idea. Riptide, huh? Has a nice ring to it. Tayuya agreed, but that only applies to ninja, we need another name too. Seeing the girls raise eyebrows, Tayuya suddenly becomes bashful. Well, for just us girls in general. Plus, Koyuki isn't a ninja, but she shouldn't be excluded. Hinata and Ino thought about that together, each still holding onto Naruto by his shoulders. He wouldn't be moving for some time anyway, mind in La La Land as it was. Something powerful then, or related to something powerful. Ino figured all of the women together could do a lot of damage. They'd all be a force to fear one day. Hinata nodded, but it has to be related to just Naruto, not Yuzu. Koyuki snaps her fingers. How about the Fox Den? You know, because of the fox? Hinata thought about that one. We could take something usually thought of a negative and turn it into something positive for ourselves. Ino nods. We could get matching tattoos as well. Inside Naruto's mind, Kurama is grinning. My visage on your females' bodies. Yes. I approve. Still out of it, Naruto sighs. Of course you're all for it. Get something named after you, then talk to me. I have a bridge? Nothing compared to my face on your woman's backside. Wahaha. Naruto had to tune him out and focus. Someone's hand was gripping his thigh. Tayuya was happy to see everyone getting on board with another name. Yeah. Kotoheim was slightly confused. Fox? Karen nods at her confused face and pulls her aside. Let me bring you up to speed if you really plan on staying. Next to him Yugo as well questions Naruto. How are you related to a fox? Is it your facial scars? Naruto shakes his head, answering though his focus is certainly on the two women taking up space in his lap. Long story short, I have a mythical beast sealed in my gut by my father that if released would ravage the lands to dust. Oh. Yugo thought about that one. Well, you are my lord. I trust you. That easy? Yes, my lord. You're probably my second best male friend now, Yugo. Sasuke was still the first. He'd have to write another letter to the boy and his girlfriend soon. Relaxing and finally settling his gaze back towards the stars as the night wore on, Naruto smiled. This was what having a family meant. This was something he would fight tooth and nail for. Scene change, the next morning found Naruto again back out in training, today's project being infusing wind nature chakra into the Rasengan. Nearly 1,000 clones set to that task, he set about unsealing his sword and working through forms and physical training. Or at least that was what his plan was. That was slightly derailed as a training-ready Ino, Hinata, and Tayuya all joined him on the field. Looking to train with me? All three girls nod. We know how you train though, so we'll be taking shifts. Tayuya is up first, grinning and pulling metal-backed black gloves from somewhere and putting them on. Ready to get rocked? Naruto just grins and holds his sword high. I think I'll be doing the rocking here, Tayuya. That's the spirit. Launching herself at him, they begin a light spar. Well, light to Naruto, but Tayuya didn't know that. Hinata and Ino sit off to the side as they wait for the redhead to tire out. Ino speaks up loud enough for Naruto to hear her. I'm thinking soon we might have to find a way to visit Konoha. Oh yeah? Grunted as he blocks a kick from Tayuya with his sword. He backs away and swings hard to blast her away with wind. I've actually been thinking of that myself too. Well, I was thinking about it because through letters back and forth, Koyuki found out the fire daimyo is going to be there soon and for a while. We might have a chance to sneak in with the chaos. Naruto nods and dodges away from a suddenly appearing demon spirit, Tayuya beginning to use her flute. I'm thinking maybe 2 months we can go. Hopefully by then I can see the Leaf Council without wanting to burn them to ashes. This time away had been good for him. Giving him time to focus and just relax. Be with people he loved. He knew it wasn't enough time away, but things had to get done and he was looking forward to confronting Danzo. Tayuya flips away from a blade made out of wind, forced for once to have to stop playing. Summons pausing, Tayuya huffs, you could just destroy the place and be done with it. Nothing but bad shit comes from there. Playing again, she started a new song, sending her doki into a mad frenzy that Naruto had no problem holding off. Hinata speaks up now, there are still good people in the village. I'm sure, if we could convince them to leave however. She left the rest unspoken. She herself wouldn't wish ill on anyone. She also wouldn't mind if the Konoha Council received an exploding tag enema. Maybe she was spending too much time with Ino and Tayuya. Ino however was beginning to stretch and prepare. At this rate she might have to join in on the fight if they wanted a chance to tire Naruto out. It would take something crazy happening to get some of our friends to forsake the leaf. Like someone would have to die type of crazy. Hinata leaned back and watched the clouds float by. It would be good to visit though. I could update my team, let them know I'm taking the Uzumaki name effective immediately. Hey, I thought we were going to do that at the same time. Ino wasn't really upset, just playing it up for fun. Mostly. I had time and Naruto was the one who convinced me really. Ino however, was turning to said blonde, hey there explosion boy. I'm taking your name as well, believe it. That's my thing. You haven't said it in forever. And you better talk to my parents and make nice. I plan on staying Ino Uzumaki for a long time. Your dad is going to kill me. Tayuya snorted as she dodged sword slashes while her doki tried and failed to protect her. You can punt around literal Sannin but you're scared of her dad? Every guy is scared of his girl's father. Hinata hummed at that. Are you scared of Hayashi then? Oh no, fuck that guy. Naruto grinned as he again blasted Tayuya away with a great breakthrough. Ino however jumped in, a wall of earth launching him away. Hinata giggled at his answer, but shook her head. Leave it to him to be scared of Anoichi, but not Eichishi. The day went on, the girls doing their best to tag team and wear Naruto out, while Naruto himself directed his clones and focused on running circles around the girls. This however led to the eventual conclusion of Naruto left with 3 worn-out girls and a field full of clones that he slowly began to dispel. Sorting through memories, he grinned as he was well on his way to having the improved Rasengan ready for use. Tired? Maybe we should head back for the day. It was a little early still, but a few hours from now, the girls would normally be bugging him about food and a bath. Ino and Tayuya were the first up, grabbing his arms and indeed, dragging him away. Hinata trailing along behind them, low on chakra and weaving as if she was drunk. I want a back rub. The shortest girl moaned out. Ino agreed with Hinata, we're getting back rubs in the bath. Naruto sighed, what about everyone else? It's early, we'll have the bath to ourselves. Ino looked over at Naruto and winked, unless you're complaining about having us to yourself for a bit. Shaking his head, Naruto denied that right away, your wish is my command. Good boy. Naruto himself smiled. While he might be the leader of their group, it certainly was starting to feel like the girls were more in charge than him. He wouldn't complain, but it was something to note. Giving himself up to another night in the bath with beautiful women, this time giving out back rubs and who knew what else, Naruto decided that maybe this was karma paying him back for the shitty stuff he had to put up with before. Lime content ahead. True to what Ino had said, the four of them had the hot spring to themselves. Standing before the waters with his hands on his hips, he turned as Hinata gently touched his arm while Ino and Tayuya eased themselves into the waters. Yo! Hinata giggles and leads him towards a towel laid out on the water's edge. I'm first. Tayuya called out from the water, we decided the order while you were changing. Naruto just watched Hinata lay herself out on her front, only a smaller towel around her hips. I'm not complaining. Ino relaxed back, better not. I'm looking forward to a back rub. Naruto raised an eyebrow, I could just make clones. Hinata shook her head, it's different when it's actually you, so just go along with us. Looking over her shoulder, she smiled at him, please? Naruto grinned and saluted, yes ma'am. Coming forward and sitting down on Hinata's hips, he tentatively began to rub his hands into her back. Earning a pleased moan from the girl, he started to work in earnest. Tayuya had floated over, smirking the whole while, feeling good there Hinata? A groan escaping her lips, Hinata nodded, oh yes. Ino came to join Tayuya, you're gonna fall asleep at this rate. Naruto begins working his fingers into some of the tighter knots of muscles along her back, I'll take it as a compliment if you do. Another moan and Hinata wiggled her hips a bit, you should dot your very go good with your hands. Breath hitching as he found a particularly sensitive spot, the girl relaxed fully into the towel under her and enjoyed his hands on her. Tayuya raised herself up a bit, exposing her chest to Naruto's view, maybe if you're good I'll let you do the front too. Ino of course, not to be outdone, mirrored Tayuya with a wink towards Naruto, that's not a bad offer. Naruto blushed heavily while continuing to work, might be a bad idea. The others. Don't be a spoil sport Whiskers, live a little. Tayuya was still smirking, with her elbows on the floor. Ino however was looking up at the sky, we could always do this again another day too. True. Tayuya watched the blissful face of Hinata for a moment longer before sighing, I never thought I'd be able to have such a peaceful time, ever. Naruto had broken out the healing cream from a subtle seal and was working it into Hinata's lower back, as long as I'm able, I want you to have all the peaceful times you can take. I might get spoiled this way. Ino nudged the girl, as if you aren't a big enough brat as is. Don't start Blondie, we still haven't settled our match. Wanna have another go? Naruto ran his thumbs along Hinata's spine as the girl arched her hips into him slightly, you start wrestling again and I really won't be able to give you your back rubs. Oh poo. Later then. Ino agrees, later. Sitting quietly for a moment, they both watch as Hinata finally relaxes completely. Surprisingly, she does in fact doze off and Naruto stands and motions to the pair in the water. Who's next? He's already moving to get another towel to lay out next to Hinata. Ino raises a hand, that's me. Tayuya grumbles, you both cheat at Ja-Kenpa. Ino is out of the spring, water dripping off of her form and drawing Naruto's attention, you just suck. Tayuya leered at Naruto, that I do. Naruto rolled his eyes as Ino laid herself down and he started work on her own back, starting at her shoulders and working his way down. He was doing his best to ignore her squished breasts being pushed out to her sides like he had with Hinata, but Ino was much more of a tease, hips wiggling and moving with every opportunity. Tayuya was pouting but waiting as they had all agreed. You know, Naruto, with all of us, you could have a really large family in the end. That what you want? Naruto thought about that as he worked the healing cream into Ino's back, now working lower on her spine in circular motions. Well, I didn't have any family growing up, so my main worry would be if I could take care of a family properly in the first place. Ino moaned out before looking at him over his shoulder, you have us though, we'll be there to guide and support you just as you do us. Not that she was looking for kids anytime soon. But later, maybe around 19, she'd be all for it. At least 2 she considered. Tayuya gave a nod of her own, I mean. I didn't have much of one either, so maybe we could learn together? Tayuya was kind of scared of the thought of giving birth or having children. She'd spent most of her life as a tool to be used, and as a kunoichi that included sex and childbearing if it meant achieving a mission objective. That she now had a choice and with someone she was in love with? It was changing her perspective a bit. Naruto was doing his best to focus hard on just his hands and his work, willing his little brother not to react more than it already had. Another moan and wiggle from Ino had him nearly ripping his hair out. Your back is really tight, Ino. It's all the physical exercises. Since I was behind everyone else in that, I've been working out extra hard. Ino was mentally grinning at the length of heat growing at her butt. If only they were a little older. Naruto could tell, her muscle definition was amazing. You look amazing. Thanks Naruto. Relaxing completely, Ino raised a hand to wave him off. Might as well get to Tayuya before the others show up and demand their own back rubs. Nodding, Naruto finally stood and turned away from Tayuya, trying to hide his little problem from the last girl on his back rub list. Tayuya noticed of course, and blushed a bit as she made her way out of the water and towards Ino's other side. Naruto returned, placing down one last towel and letting Tayuya lay down next to Ino. All three girls lined up like this was giving Naruto ideas, and he shook his head to clear it. Back to Tayuya's hips, working a new helping of cream onto his hands, he set about kneading and working the older girls back into metaphorical goo. Of course for Tayuya, ending up bashful when she finally had Naruto, here was not how she wanted this to go. So looking over her shoulder much as the others had, she brought out her bravado a bit, make sure to get the sides as well. I was stretching and think I pulled something high up. Naruto was half on autopilot, hands automatically following her orders and rubbing into her ribs before his fingers sunk into some of her softness. Tayuya moaned in approval, that's the spot. Blushing up a storm and facing down into the towel, she could no longer bring herself to look at him. Damn hormones and emotions. Naruto however, just did as asked, working all along her upper and lower back while intermittently working on her sides. She didn't seem to mind his minor brushes, and he certainly wasn't going to complain. Ino however, just smirked, I should have thought of that. Tayuya nodded, snooze you loose. Groaning as he did focus on and knead out a particularly stiff section of her back, she could admit this was pretty close to heaven. It took her a minute to focus and realize he was poking her in return, but she took that as a compliment. She was making him react to her. Perfect. Naruto looked up as the sun began to set a bit. In the future we're going to have to compromise with some clones. Tayuya gasped out and nodded, as long as we get the real you often enough. Soon Naruto, Ino, and Tayuya were relaxing in the hot waters, both girls snuggled into his sides and pressing themselves into him. Hinata was asleep behind them, out like a light on her towel. Naruto would absolutely never complain about back rub duty. Ever. End lime content scene change a few days later found Naruto and most of his group deemed now Riptide flashing away to wave. Koyuki had of course stayed behind to run her country while a recovering kin stayed behind to recover and rest. Naruto had offered for Kotoheim to stay but she admitted that her place was at his side, plus, she had untold amounts of days to spend time with her sister now. So here they were, Naruto leading the way into a large warehouse where he was hoping he could find Tsunami and get an update from Tazuna, or maybe just head over to the island themselves. Spotting the woman talking to a group of other women near a stack of crates as around them hundreds of people moved goods or helped more ragged refugees within the space. Naruto raised a hand as the woman looked their way, smiling and waving at her. Tsunami's eyebrows raised as she made her way over, this is a surprise. With all the work you have been doing, I didn't expect to see you back for some time still. Naruto scratched the back of his head, well, you know me. Can't sit still to save my life. Decided we could check in and maybe offer to help out for a while. Tsunami thinks about that for a moment before nodded and motioning for the group to follow her, let's see something real fast. Everyone trailed along as towards the back of the warehouse, the wooden floor opened up into the tunnel they had all worked on and helped prepare months ago. The space was much more detailed now, and the running lights were brighter, more permanent looking. Ahead of them a group of 50 or so people were loading a train car and boarding another car ahead of it, though there were multiple tracks that had rail cars both large and small waiting. Tsunami pointed off to the left where a single rail car waited with a bored-looking conductor, you should head over yourselves and see how things are going. I'm sure father would be delighted to see you. Naruto looked around in wonder before turning to Tsunami and smiling, will do. What should we expect? Tsunami shook her head, I don't want to ruin the surprise. And then she was gone, walking back up the ramp and disappearing back into the warehouse to help out where she could. Naruto shrugged as they walked up to the large single rail car. The conductor saw them approach and some form of recognition lit up his face because he ushered them all on board. Good morning, sir. I'm sorry for the Spartan transport, but until we get the full-sized trains it's just a no-go for now. Naruto chuckles while the girls all board and wait, I'm sure this is fine. How long is the trip? About 20 minutes. Ino leans on the wall of the low-walled box they were all standing in. That's about the same as full-speed ninja travel. This little thing can get that fast? Yes ma'am. Naruto finally jumps on and grins. Well, let's get going then. Getting a nod from the conductor, without any fanfare, they're off, rail car rolling down the well-lit tunnel. Hinata is looking around with interest. The lighting is much better than when we started, and I'm happy the wind seals are holding up. The conductor nods. We've had a lot of extra hands willing to help out, so everything we could think of doing has been getting done. Tayuya and Karen were looking around in wonder as well, though the bumpy ride of the rail car took some getting used to. Soon the group settled in for the short ride, Naruto answering questions from Yugo and Kotohime and telling them about how he helped with construction with his clones and explosions. Soon, their journey begins to arc upward and everyone rouses themselves for what they're about to see. However, they're all met with darkness as they end their journey in another warehouse. Wondering at the warehouse much the same as the one they had entered before, they all leave the rail car and wander past multiple other cars and full trains within the space. Here however one side of the warehouse is open and they head towards that, Naruto in the lead. Walking out into the morning light, they are all surprised by what they find waiting for them. Before them first are freshly tilled and planted fields, most already starting to grow some type of produce or grain, while others were just getting started. The group found the main road, stone for now by the look of it, and started to walk alone as they took in the town or rather city ahead of them. Already they can see buildings 2 to 3 stories high, while something much larger is being built a bit further away. Around them as they walk, villagers young and old are rushing about back and forth. Most recognize Naruto, and either one or more of the girls walking with him, they bow or salute as they pass before continuing with their work. A group of children run by as the group begins to pass out of the area with farmhouses and farms, now as they come into a more urban around. All of the children rush by Naruto, all laughing. Good morning Lord Uzumaki. It's good to see you Mr. Uzumaki. Good morning. And then they were gone, racing away to who knew where. Naruto didn't know how to feel about it, not used to the praise of random strangers. Ino however nudged him as they kept walking. You saved them, you should expect at least some thanks, don't you think? I didn't do it for that though. That's what makes you special. Ino latches onto his arm and drags him forward as Tayuya and Karen are all smiles, they themselves getting greetings from several villagers as well. Kotohime is looking around as they begin passing through a section of the town that was building much higher than the others. Most of these buildings weren't finished, but the few that were had people using them to full effect. We've passed agriculture, suburbs, and now we're in what looks like a commercial district. Someone has planned this out. Hinata nods. We all had some input when we initially contracted Tazuna to help with reconstruction. However, this is a much grander scale than we initially thought. None of the original group had, though they would have gathered enough people to warrant all of this. Hopeful sure, but for sure not this fast. As they walk, they come to a large open main circle space, where an even larger tower is in the midst of being constructed. And there, at its base in front of them they can see Tazuna ordering around a crew of men while hundreds more busy themselves over the structure like ants. Naruto raises his voice with a bright smile on his face. Tazuna. You've really been at it. Tazuna turns to the voice, surprised but excited to see Naruto and his group here. A few new additions as well it seemed. Next to him, he nudged the boy tagging along and learning all that he could. Inari smiled as well as he saw the older boy. Naruto my boy. Welcome back. He turned and motioned for everyone to get back to their stations while he left to address the boy and his group. What do you think so far? Naruto looks around with wide eyes at the large space, people rushing back and forth, doing who knew what. The center area was ringed with smaller buildings that all looked like shops or restaurants, but the main street they had come from was only one of many that they hadn't noticed walking in. This is amazing, I didn't think you would have gotten this far at all. Tazuna nods. We told you drumming up people willing to work wouldn't be a problem, especially when they're building a new home for themselves. He saw Naruto's attention to the other roads and motions with a hand. It's being built in the likeness of a spiral. Here, come on, I'll show you. Tazuna leads them all to a wall of several blueprints and drawings. At the center of several boards, however, is what the group assumes is an aerial view of the city. It was a great spiral with the eye of it being the space that they were in with the large tower at the very center. The admin combo Kage mansion will be here at they're radiating out. We have commercial and warehouse, suburbs, and then farms. The commercial district will have a smattering of high-density living spaces like apartments and condos, while there will also be allowed smaller home-based business in the residential area. Underground we are going to start building concentric rings that connect and can funnel everyone to emergency shelters. We're going to learn from Uzushio of the past and make sure the citizens are protected 1000%. Naruto nods as he considers the design. Most of it was exactly how they had brainstormed it, though a few modifications had been made that Tazuna probably needed to make. He was the expert builder after all. Ino, however, was still looking around in wonder. It's all so fast though, have that many people really come here? Tazuna waved a hand out over the space they could see. It's been a struggle actually. Just between the raids you've made, we had close to 3,000 people show up. Then with some careful word of mouth and we're actually closer to a population of almost 7,000. Naruto's eye began to twitch. 7 Tazuna pats the boy on the shoulder. Yup, 7,000 eager and hungry people. Thankfully, we've been able to be creative about the food situation, being an island nation. But it's going to be a problem soon, something we'll need to address. It'll be easier once we finish the tunnel to spring, which is another thing we need to talk about. We need the head engineers here for a visit so we can get direction information and start a tunnel from our end. It's part of why the tunnel exit on this side is covered. We plan to do 2 things with it. 1. Extend it to eventually meet up with the spring ground, and 2. We're going to connect it to a tram system for the city itself. Mass transit is going to be a must. Naruto looks around to the others who have nothing to say at the moment, much too overwhelmed with everything. Naruto takes a real deep steadying breath before turning back to Tazuna. I can bring the engineers anytime. Plus we all have some spare time, so we're gonna help out around here. Like before, if we can speed up tunnel progress, we're going to do it. Tazuna nods and starts to walk away from the work area, motioning for everyone to follow him. One last thing to show you for now. Walking around the construction site that was half walled off, eventually a large obsidian spire came into view. 10 meters tall, at its base was a large Uzumaki crest. You asked me to make a monument for the dead. And while we recycled much of what we found of old Yuzu into the new construction, this was made purely out of material we found here. Tazuna motioned them all forward and waited at a respectable distance. Naruto, Tayuya, and Karen all stepped forward first, flanked by their friends. At the monument's base in gold lettering was an inscription. Laid to rest are the bones of the betrayed, but their dreams of peace live on. We are a people of resilience, of strength, of love. For the peaceful future we all wish for, never forget the fallen. Tayuya and Karen both lean into Naruto for a moment, Tayuya being the one closest to tears out of the 3. Naruto is firming his resolve to indeed protect their new home and their people. Hinata wipes a tear from her eye. It's a beautiful gesture. Kotohime agrees, your man Tazuna is an amazing craftsman. Naruto nods, turning and pointing at said man. You've got us for maybe 2 months, we're gonna get everything we can done in that time. You better be ready to work us to the bone, old man. Tazuna bows with a grin, wouldn't work you any other way. Go get those engineers, boy. I'll set up your group with workers and crews where they can help out. Leave us some clones while you're gone, we can put them to work right away. Nodding, Naruto is fired up. Seeing the rising city was more motivating than anything else before. Making his cross seal, he might have overdone the job this time. Tajikage Bushin Enojutsu. As the main circle he guessed, was filled with clones to the astonishment of the citizens, the main Naruto flashed away while Tazuna began yelling instructions. They had a city to build, and apparently to Tazuna, a happy Kage, to satisfy.